Arrives, we'll deal with him, Jane said, a fierce look on her face. As they spoke, a few black SUVs pulled up to the intersection. The doors opened to reveal Florence and James, and Florence walked over to Jane and Dakota. Wow! Jane! Dakota! What happened? Florence asked, trying to sound friendly. Henry Nicholson was part of the Nicholson family from Glenstead. He had run away to Swinton with his love because he didn't want to go through an arranged marriage. The two families rarely spoke to each other. After the death of the Glenstead family leader, Edgar Nicholson, Jane and Dakota were sent to Swinton to talk to Henry, following Edgar's last wish for Henry to return home. Humph! How dare you ask us? Jane said, looking pale. We traveled all the way to your small town, and instead of welcoming us, you made us feel embarrassed. It seems like your family doesn't want to reunite with us in Glenstead. Florence, James, and their friends were shocked. They knew how important it was for the Nicholson family of Swinton to reconnect with the Glenstead branch. It would raise their status, and they didn't want to miss this chance. Jane, please calm down. Just let us know what you need, and I promise I'll help. Florence said quickly, forcing a smile. James added confidently, exactly. We'll take care of whoever hurt you, no matter who they are. Dakota frowned. What good is that? He's already gone. She was only in Swinton because her grandfather had ordered her to help with this task. It's okay. There's a surveillance camera at the intersection. I'll have someone check the footage right away so we can find the person responsible. Florence assured them. Humph. That's more like it, Jane replied, feeling a bit better. Dakota's expression softened as she added, oh, and please get the best doctor for me. Are you hurt, Dakota? James asked, looking shocked. He glanced at her but didn't see any tears or visible injuries. That's ridiculous. Can't you see I'm bleeding from my elbow? Are you blind? Dakota scoffed, showing everyone the scrape on her elbow. When they looked closer, they realized her injury was just a small cut that only needed a band-aid. Why are you standing there? Get the car and take Dakota to the hospital. I'll be really upset if you miss the golden hour. Florence exclaimed. Florence quickly slapped James on the back of his head. Jane and Dakota Nicholson had the final say on whether Florence's family could reunite with their Glenstead relatives, so she made sure to treat them with great respect. Okay, James replied, not wanting to argue. Along with a few other relatives, he helped Jane and Dakota into the SUVs as if they were royalty. Then, they rushed the two women to the hospital. Chapter 251. In the afternoon, several black SUVs suddenly stopped in front of Park Place. The doors opened, and out stepped a young man in bright clothes. He had striking features and an impressive presence. Following him was a group of martial artists in unusual uniforms, each radiating a sense of power with their controlled breathing. They clearly weren't ordinary people. Stefan, watching them leave the vehicles, shouted, "Inform Mrs. Harmon immediately. This is the Harmon family's territory. You all need to leave right now," warned the two bodyguards standing by the entrance. Too loud, the young man said, waving his hand. The bodyguards were thrown back, blood spilling from their mouths as if they had been hit by a car. The group then confidently walked into Park Place. Inside the hall, Natasha was sipping tea and reviewing a financial report. Recently, thanks to the invention of Immorchinol, the Harmon family's business was booming, and their stock prices were soaring. If this kept up, Natasha could surpass Edwin's status in just a year and a half, becoming the first woman to be the wealthiest person in Swinton. "Miss Harmon, enjoying your day, I see," a voice called from the entrance. Natasha looked up to see the group of oddly dressed men, with the young man standing in the center. "Who are you?" she asked, raising her eyebrows. "I'm Hummer. Joshua Hummer," he replied with a faint smile. "Oh, it's you," Natasha narrowed her eyes. "Mr. Hummer, don't you think it's inappropriate to barge into my home like this?" "Inappropriate? I don't think so." He smiled cryptically and added, "Miss Harmon, I'll get straight to the point. I'm here for 3 things. Emotional has caused a lot of trouble for the Hummers. You need to give us the formula. Also, my sister was humiliated recently, which brought shame to our family, all because of a bastard named Dustin. I want you to bring his head to the Hummer residence as an apology. Lastly, it's simple, just be a guest at our home tonight. Joshua spoke with the air of someone giving orders, as if he were a master and Natasha was his servant. Even Natasha, who usually stayed calm, lost her temper at his words. Joshua Hummer, have you lost your mind? You want my man's head? Who the hell do you think you are to say that? He was being ridiculous with his demands right after walking in. Natasha Harmon, I'm not here to negotiate. I'm giving you a chance. Know your place, Joshua replied. Humph. Do you think you're on Hummer territory? Natasha shouted, slamming her hand on the table. Immediately, a large group of bodyguards surrounded Joshua and his team. Miss Harmon, what's going on? Asked Stefan, who was the leader of the bodyguards. We have some uninvited guests. Please show them the way out, Natasha ordered coldly. Yes, ma'am. Stefan turned to Joshua and glared. Guests, you are not welcome here. Please leave. Too bad, Joshua said with a smirk. In an instant, he vanished and reappeared right in front of Stefan. Stefan's eyes widened in shock. He was about to defend himself when Joshua grabbed him in a chokehold. Suddenly, he found it hard to breathe, and his body felt weak. He couldn't summon any strength. The nerve of a low-level martial artist like you. Kneel. Joshua lifted Stefan with one hand and slammed him to the ground. The sound echoed through the room like an explosion, shocking everyone present. The floor cracked open, creating a deep hole, while Stefan's injured legs bled profusely. Get out of here. Joshua shouted, delivering a powerful kick aimed right at Stefan's stomach. With a grunt, Stefan was sent flying several meters away, crashing into the wall. Blood spilled from his mouth as the kick knocked the wind out of him. How dare you? Get them. Natasha shouted angrily. At her command, the bodyguards pulled out their batons and rushed forward. Just ants, Joshua said dismissively. He waved his hand, unleashing a powerful wave of energy that surged like a force of nature. Before the bodyguards could reach him, they were thrown back by the blast, landing hard on the ground with painful groans. Is that an external manifestation of energy? Have you reached divinity? A badly injured Stefan gasped in horror. Many martial artists aspired to achieve divinity. While skilled low-level martial artists could break rocks and lift heavy weights, the gap between them and divine-level martial artists was enormous, like the difference between the sky and the earth. Chapter 252. Low-level martial artists could only use their energy for physical attacks, while divine-level martial artists were much stronger, able to project their energy over distances. They could strike from afar, making them a force to be reckoned with. In the presence of a divine-level martial artist, even the best low-level fighters seemed insignificant. They were on completely different levels of skill and power. What was surprising was that Joshua was only in his 20s. His talent in martial arts was extraordinary, and achieving divine status at such a young age was impressive. Ha, you're quite observant, Joshua said with a proud smile. Now that you see I'm a skilled divine-level martial artist, you should know that my words hold weight. Natasha frowned, realizing they had come prepared and had been lying low for this moment. After you, Miss Harmon. Don't make me resort to violence, he said playfully, seeing a wealthy princess as nothing special. I hope you won't regret this, Natasha replied with a sneer as she stepped forward. She understood that if she didn't comply, everyone present would be in danger. Tell the Harmons to meet my demands, and Natasha will be safe. If not, I can't promise what will happen to her, Joshua warned. He pulled out an envelope and, with a swift motion, sent it flying like a dagger into the door frame. As they left, Stefan yelled, "Notify Mrs. Harmon right away." What? Natasha has been kidnapped? Jessica's expression grew serious when she heard the news and learned the details. How could this happen? We have so many bodyguards. How could they take her? Ruth exclaimed, shocked. They were too powerful. We stood no chance against them, Stefan lamented. He was in bad shape, with his legs crippled and his strength gone, leaving him nearly useless. Who was? Can you believe it? They had the nerve to kidnap my daughter. Jennifer shouted, filled with rage. We're not sure who they are, but they left a letter, Stefan said, signaling his men to hand it to Jennifer. She opened the letter, and her face darkened as she read it. Mom, what does it say? Ruth asked, her impatience showing. It says that before sunrise, we must bring the Immortanol formula and Dustin to Hummer Villa as ransom. Her voice was low and fierce. Hummer Villa? Isn't that Edwin's territory? Ruth asked, her frown deepening. Was the Hummer family involved again? Call headquarters immediately. We need the Shadow Guards for support. Jennifer said seriously. Also, call Dustin and tell him to come here right away. Mom, you can't be thinking of giving him to them, right? Ruth pleaded. This happened because of him. Why should he be free? Jennifer replied sharply. But. No buts. Natasha's safety comes first. Now go. Okay. Ruth bit her lip and made the call, not wanting to argue with her mother. Meanwhile, at Peaceful Medical Center, Dustin listened to the news on the phone, his expression grim. Anger boiled inside him. I'll be there right away. He hung up and left his house in a hurry. He drove fast, arriving at Park Place in just 20 minutes. As he walked in, the sight of injured people on the floor hit him hard. Stefan was in the worst shape, pale and coughing up blood, his energy completely drained. Dustin, you're finally here. Ruth said, relieved to see him. Dustin's eyes narrowed with fury. Who did this? See for yourself. Jennifer tossed him the letter. He read it, and his anger ignited. The Hummer family is unbelievable. It's time to take a stand. It seems like they will never learn their lesson. Jennifer exclaimed. My daughter has been caught up in your mess. What do you plan to do about it? She asked, her voice filled with concern. I promise I will rescue Ms. Harmon, he replied confidently. And what if you fail? She shot back, her eyes narrowing. Then I'll pay with my life. Dustin said seriously. His expression turned grave. At least you're brave enough to face this. My daughter's feelings have not been wasted. Chapter 253. Suddenly, she clapped her hands. At that moment, a group of confident martial artists dressed in black entered the room. Leading the group was a woman with short hair and striking features that made her look cool and composed. Her fitted outfit accentuated her curvy figure, making a strong impression. Jennifer spoke calmly, this is Isfrid. She leads Team 5 of the Harmon family's Shadow Guards and is highly skilled. Bring her team along so you can support each other. Mrs. Harmon, I must be direct. Our team is enough to ensure Ms. Harmon's safety. Why do we need outsiders? Isfrid replied, eyeing Dustin with disdain. Team 5 is well trained, and our teamwork is unmatched. We don't need any extra baggage, it will only make the mission riskier. I hope you reconsider, Mrs. Harmon. Listen, Dustin is a skilled fighter, and the Hummer family specifically requested him. He has to be part of this, she stated plainly. If that's the case, I expect him to follow our orders and not interfere, or it could jeopardize our mission, Isfrid said coldly. Isfrid was a remarkable fighter, confident in her abilities. Her team worked in secrecy, and her skills rivaled those of the elite martial artists known as the 100 Immortals. Fine. I have one request, bring my daughter back to me alive, Jennifer commanded with seriousness. Yes, Mrs. Harmon. Isfrid bowed and then walked out with her team. Mr. Rhys, be cautious. The Hummers have a highly skilled martial artist among them. He might have reached divinity, Stefan warned Dustin. Divinity? They're nothing but ants to me. With that, Dustin walked away. As night fell, the scene shifted to the square outside Hummer Villa, where a new chapter was about to unfold. A group of armored fighters sat around a bonfire, roasting a whole lamb. Next to them, in a cage, was a ragged woman. Her hair was messy, and her body bore signs of injuries. It was obvious she had been tortured. Around her neck was a collar attached to a dog leash held by an elderly man named Fletcher Lawson. "Mr. Lawson, it's about time." "He must be too scared to show up," said a bald man with a smirk. "Of course. With so many of us here, who would be foolish enough to walk into a trap? That bastard has probably run away." The others laughed heartily, agreeing with him. "Mr. Lawson, the woman in the cage is special. Why don't you let us have some fun with her first?" the bald man suggested with an evil grin. "Yeah, Mr. Lawson. We've been waiting too long. How can we pass up the chance when there's a beautiful woman here?" the rest chimed in, jeering. This wasn't the first time they had committed acts of violence and crime. "Have your fun, but don't get carried away," Fletcher said calmly. "No problem," the bald man replied with a chuckle as he approached the cage. He ripped the woman's skirt, exposing her white thighs. "What a beauty! Just as we thought," he said, licking his lips with a devilish smile. Just as he was about to carry out his intentions, a flash of light sliced through the air with a soft whistle. A golden needle shot from the darkness and struck him between the eyebrows. With a groan, his eyes widened as he convulsed, then went stiff. He stood frozen, breathless. "Hey! What are you waiting for? If you can't do it, we'll take over." "Don't make us wait any longer," someone shouted. "Yeah! We're all waiting for our turn." "Can you hurry up?" another voice chimed in. Everyone was focused on hurrying him along, not realizing anything was wrong. "Hey! We're talking to you. Are you even alive?" someone yelled. A strong man stepped forward and nudged the bald man's shoulder. In an instant, the bald man fell to the ground like a statue that couldn't hold itself up. The strong man was taken aback and reached out his hand. "What the fuck? He's not breathing." Before he could finish speaking, a second faint whistle sliced through the air. A gold needle struck him between the brows, and he dropped to the ground, lifeless. "What's going on?" People looked around in shock, only reacting when they noticed blood on the victims' foreheads. "We're being attacked. Stay alert," someone shouted. The fighters quickly drew their swords, scanning the area. "Who did this? Show yourself. You're a coward for hiding," the crowd yelled, their voices rising. Just then, a strong gust of wind blew through the area. Under the streetlights, a tall, slender figure approached the villa, walking confidently. Fletcher squinted and chuckled. "How brave. He's really walked into a dangerous situation. Release her immediately." Dustin commanded, his voice calm yet powerful. It echoed throughout the villa. His face was stoic, but his eyes were icy. "Know your place. Don't think about being a hero when your time is almost up," Fletcher warned, waving his hand. "Get him. Whoever brings me his head first will be rewarded 100 million. 100 million. The crowd of fighters buzzed with excitement. There was nothing money couldn't fix, and such a huge reward would surely inspire brave warriors. People would betray friends and family for 100 million, let alone a stranger. "Get him." The crowd cheered and charged forward without hesitation. "Attack!" Suddenly, a group of masked assassins dressed in all black appeared from the shadows. They held knives in one hand and crossbows in the other. Though they were few in number, each was highly trained. They pushed forward, quickly surrounding the Hummer family's fighters. Nothing seemed to stop them. These were the Shadow Guards led by Isfred. Even though the Harmon family's Shadow Guards were not widely known, they were carefully chosen from many candidates. Their job was to remove obstacles and eliminate those who opposed the Harmon family. "See that? This is the true power of the Harmon family's Shadow Guards," Isfred said as she stepped out of the darkness and stood beside Dustin. Chapter 254. "Wait here and don't run off. I don't want you to cause us any trouble." "Got it," she said coldly. "They have highly skilled fighters. Your men won't be able to handle them," Dustin replied flatly. Ha! What a joke! I've fought in countless battles. A rookie like you will never understand how strong we are. Her expression grew even colder. Having confidence is good, but don't be too blind. There's always someone better out there, he reminded her. Shut your nonsense. Just stay here like I told you. I won't forgive you if you ruin our operation, she shouted before jumping into the fight. Dustin didn't say anything more. He narrowed his eyes and stared silently at Fletcher. Behind him sat a few martial artists in strange clothes. From their breathing patterns, Dustin could tell they were top low-level fighters, with two already at high level. So he has backup. No wonder he's so bold. Despite his men falling, Fletcher looked amused. It didn't matter to him if they lost, they were just cannon fodder. The real fighters were right behind him. There weren't many of them, but they were all ranked on the 100 Immortals. Especially the twin brothers, Dark Wrath and Light Wrath, who were ranked 7th and 8th, respectively. They practiced dark arts, and their moves were deadly. When they fought alone, they were in the top 10. When they teamed up, their power doubled. Besides the twins, another highly skilled martial artist was hidden in the villa. This person was ranked 3rd on the 100 Immortals, Judge. Whenever Judge appeared, only a few could stand a chance against him. A trail of death awaited those who challenged the Harmon family. No matter how many fighters the Hummer family sent, they were destined to fail. After a fierce battle, hundreds of the Hummer family's fighters lay defeated on the ground. In contrast, the Harmon family's shadow guards had only lost one member and had just 5 injuries, making their losses seem small. Humph! You dare kidnap Miss Harmon with these pathetic weaklings? You should have known better. Isfred exclaimed proudly. With a swift motion, she flicked her sword, sending droplets of blood flying. She looked strong and impressive. Wow! The Harmon family's shadow guards really are something. Fletcher said with a smile, clapping his hands. Now that you know our strength, why haven't you released the hostage? Isfred demanded, pointing her sword at him. The person you're looking for is right here in this cage. Come save her yourself if you dare, Fletcher replied, kicking over the dog cage. The woman inside flinched in fear, her messy appearance making it hard to recognize her. Miss Harmon? Isfred's face turned serious as she rushed forward with her team. When they reached the cage, Isfred drew her sword and sliced through the chains with a loud clang. Miss Harmon! Are you all right? She called out. Isfred opened the metal door, ready to rescue the woman inside, when suddenly, the woman flashed an evil grin. With a quick wave of her hand, she released a cloud of yellow powder that was highly toxic. Anyone who inhaled it would be in serious danger. Isfred's eyes widened in shock, and she quickly stepped back, covering her mouth and nose to avoid breathing in the deadly dust. Ha! You reacted quickly. You almost fell into my trap, the woman chuckled, brushing her hair aside to show her pale and unfamiliar face. Who are you? Isfred asked, her brow furrowed. She was glad she had dodged just in time, otherwise, she could have been in serious danger. That's not important. What matters is how much your head is worth, the woman replied, launching another attack by thrusting her knife forward. Humph! Isfred's longsword shook as it cut through the woman's arm and, at the same moment, pierced her chest with incredible speed. So fast! The woman's eyes widened in shock as she fell backward. Chapter 255. Isfred looked around with a sneer. How weak! Anyone else? She called out. Dark Wrath, eyeing her curvy figure, grinned and said, Hey, pretty lady, let me have a taste of you. He moved quickly, like a ghost, flickering in and out of sight. Isfred shouted, Die, and swung her sword, sending 2 sharp blades slicing toward him. Just before they could hit, Dark Wrath vanished. Hey, pretty lady, where are you looking? His voice came from behind her, and Isfred's expression shifted. Without turning around, she thrust her sword backward. She was quick, but Dark Wrath was quicker, and her sword cut through empty air. Taking advantage of her distraction, Dark Wrath grabbed her firmly. He chuckled, soft and supple. What a treasure. He seemed to enjoy teasing her, treating it like a game. Fuming with humiliation, Isfred shouted, "You will pay with your life." Her sword moved like a blur, creating a whirlwind of shining blades. But dark wrath still flickered in and out of view, appearing calm and in control. Just as Isfred was catching her breath, dark wrath suddenly wrapped his arms around her from behind. He leaned in and licked her face slowly. "Beauty, you're delicious. I'm going to eat you tonight." He laughed wickedly, his eyes filled with desire. "You're seeking death." Isfred's eyes blazed with anger and embarrassment. She pointed her sword toward her own abdomen, ready to strike back at him. Dark wrath threw himself into the fight. He was clearly ready as he pressed a finger onto a pressure point on Isfred's body. She gasped and fell to the ground, her arm going numb and unable to hold her sword. Who are you?" she asked, a mix of shock and anger in her voice. She hadn't expected her opponent to be this strong. "I am Darkwrath, ranked 8th among the 100 immortals," he replied confidently. Suddenly, realization hit Isfred, and her face changed. It made sense why he was so powerful. He was one of the top 10 martial artists in the 100 immortals. "Pretty lady, why serve the Harmon family? You'd be better off with me. I'll make sure you live in luxury, and every night will feel like our honeymoon." Darkwrath said with a smirk, licking his lips in a disturbing way. "How dare you?" she shouted back. "You insolent bastard," one of the shadow guards shouted, unable to hold back any longer. They drew their swords and charged at Darkwrath, furious at the way he had humiliated their leader. "Fools," Darkwrath sneered. He lunged into their midst. With a quick motion, 2 steel claws shot out from his sleeves, stabbing through the throats of 2 shadow guards. He pulled back forcefully, splattering blood and flesh everywhere. The 2 guards let out agonized cries before collapsing lifelessly. But Darkwrath didn't stop. His claws continued to strike with brutal force. Like a raging storm, he moved quickly and relentlessly. In just a few moments, all the shadow guards were on the ground, half of them dead and the rest badly injured. Chapter 256. It's over. It's all over now. Isfred looked at the scene in front of her, her face pale and filled with despair. She had entered with confidence, but she never expected to face Darkwrath here. In terms of strength, she knew she was outmatched. "Let me help." Dustin had somehow appeared next to her. "You?" Isfred frowned. "I can't defeat him." "What can you do?" "Just go. Don't risk your life." Even though she doubted him, she didn't want him to die for nothing. "Hey! I'm talking to you." Her frustration grew as she saw his calm expression. This guy is unpredictable. He's in the top 10 of the 100 immortals. You can't win against him. I'll buy you some time. Escape while you can. When you get back, tell Mrs. Harmon to send a skilled fighter. Go! She shouted her last command. As the leader of Team 5, Isfred couldn't leave her teammates behind and run away. She needed someone else to deliver the message. So what if he's ranked 8th? He's just an ant. Dustin, with a cold expression, stepped forward. "Are you crazy? This isn't the time to be brave. You can't beat him. You're just walking into death." Isfred felt a mix of anxiety and anger. She had never seen anyone so foolish as to choose a losing battle. This guy was hopeless. "Kid, you should have listened to her. If you had run away earlier, you might have had a chance to live. But now, goodbye." Darkwrath smirked, licking the blood from his steel claws like a madman. "Where's Natasha?" "Let her go, and I'll let you live," Dustin said coldly. Everyone was shocked. No one expected him to say that. "Kiddo, you're pretty brave for someone about to die. I guess I need to teach you a lesson about my power." Darkwrath replied, losing his patience. With a sudden move, Darkwrath lunged at Dustin like a rocket. As he got closer, he waved his hand, and his steel claws glimmered, aiming straight for Dustin's throat. "Run!" Isfred shouted. That was the same move that had killed most of her team. Even she might struggle to dodge it. Can you outrun me? Darkwrath grinned, speeding up. Lend me your sword, Dustin said. With a tap of his foot, the sword on the floor sprang up and landed firmly in his hands. He flicked his wrist, and the blade shot toward Darkwrath with a shining arc and a loud whistle. The sound of metal clashing filled the air as the shimmering blade shattered Darkwrath's claws and pierced through his neck. His body froze, as if turned to stone, and a thin line of blood began to trickle from his throat. Soon, that line widened into a deep wound. In the next moment, Darkwrath's head rolled off and hit the ground with a thud, coming to rest at Isfrit's feet. His wide eyes stared up at her, reflecting regret as he took his last breath. Chapter 257. Isfrit stared in shock at the head lying at her feet. Who would have thought that the powerful Darkwrath could be killed so easily? He was ranked 8th of the 100 Immortals and had single-handedly taken down the entire Team 5. It was hard to believe he was defeated with just one strike of a sword. What the fuck? Fletcher exclaimed, equally stunned. He knew Dustin was strong, but this was beyond what he expected. With one swing, Dustin had killed Darkwrath, who was no small threat. Only Judge, ranked 3rd, seemed capable of matching his strength. You killed my brother? Lightwrath finally stood up, his face pale and tense. He had let his brother play his game, thinking victory was close. He never imagined a skilled fighter was hiding among them, and that this fighter would lead to his brother's downfall. I gave both of you a chance to attack together. He was the one who didn't take it, Dustin replied calmly. You're asking for death. Lightwrath shouted, his anger boiling over. He pulled out 2 pistols and charged at Dustin. Everyone, go! Fletcher ordered. The remaining skilled martial artists quickly joined the fight, surrounding Lightwrath as they advanced toward Dustin, trying to trap him. From their view, even if Dustin was strong, they believed he couldn't defend against all of them at once. After all, he only had 2 arms and 2 legs. It's over. It's really over this time. Isfrit thought, growing more anxious as she watched. The martial artists ranked on the 100 Immortals teamed up for an attack. Dustin's performance surprised her, but she understood that in battles between skilled fighters, victory could be very close. If it were a one-on-one fight, Dustin might win, but against many opponents, he would face certain death. Humph. As Lightwrath and his group approached, Dustin stood his ground and swung his sword again. With a sharp whistle, the sword shone in the air. Suddenly, Lightwrath and his companions froze, unable to move. They fell to their knees, and one by one, their heads rolled off, spilling blood everywhere. A heavy silence fell over the area. Isfrit and the other shadow guards watched in shock and disbelief. If Darkwrath's death was seen as an ambush, this one was all about raw strength. With just one blow, Dustin had taken down several skilled martial artists from the 100 Immortals. It was truly frightening. As Isfrit thought about how she had underestimated him, she felt a wave of shame wash over her. It turned out she was the real fool. Release her, or die. Dustin said, ignoring the lifeless bodies around him and staring directly at Fletcher as if he were already dead. You? How could you? Fletcher stammered, cold sweat forming on his brow. Dustin's power made him see the man in a completely different light. Release her. Dustin repeated, his voice firm and commanding. You just wait, you bastard. Fletcher said, panicking. Without another word, he dashed into the villa. Hummer Villa was expansive, covering an entire hill. Outside, the square was chaotic, but inside the villa, things were lively with music and wine. A group of important guests had come together for the Hummer's party. Everyone's attention was on Joshua and Jade, the hosts of the evening. Chapter 258. Mr. Hummer. Something terrible has happened. Fletcher burst into the room, stumbling as he entered. He looked disheveled and panicked, which seemed very out of place. What's going on? Joshua's face turned serious. Speak up. What's wrong? Dustin is out here on a killing spree. Fletcher whispered urgently. Oh? Joshua raised an eyebrow, intrigued. He has the nerve to come here, knowing this is the lion's den. Is this kid really that brave? What do we do now, Mr. Hummer? Fletcher asked nervously. What do you mean? Get Darkwrath and Lightwrath to take care of him. We can't let him ruin our party. Joshua waved his hand dismissively. Mr. Hummer, he's already killed them both. Fletcher said solemnly. Ha! Joshua frowned, surprised. When Darkwrath and Lightwrath team up, even Judge has to go all out. Is this kid really that skilled? It would have been great if they had teamed up, but they were too arrogant and gave him a chance to beat them, Fletcher replied, feeling helpless. Those fucking fools. What useless trash. Joshua was frustrated. He didn't want to waste extra effort on someone he thought would be easy to deal with. Just then, the massive doors of the villa were kicked open with a loud bang. A tall figure walked in, eyes filled with anger. Listen up, Hummers. You have 3 minutes. Let her go right now, or nobody leaves this place alive. Dustin's voice was cold as he surveyed the room. The hall erupted in chaos at his words. Who is this guy? How dare he make a scene here? Doesn't he care about his life? If you don't want to die, get out now. Otherwise, you're done for. Who the hell does he think he is? He's so reckless. Everyone whispered among themselves, shocked and confused. Everyone, please calm down. I'll take care of this, Joshua said firmly. He walked to the center of the room with a slight smile. You must be Dustin. Kneel and apologize to my honored guests, and I might spare your life. Dustin looked at him defiantly. Who the hell do you think you are? I won't kneel before you. Joshua's smile faded, and his expression darkened. Kiddo, do you know who you're talking to? Just because you beat Darkwrath and Lightwrath doesn't make you special. To me, they're just like you, nothing more than ants. You have 2 minutes left, Dustin replied, his face unreadable. Joshua chuckled. I'll give you credit, you're brave for someone who's about to die. He turned to the judge and said, I'll leave him to you. Deal with him quickly. I don't want blood on the floor. Got it, the judge replied. Just then, a middle-aged man in a long robe jumped down from the second floor. He was tall, wore a mask, and held a short steel spear, giving off a chilling presence. Wow! That's the judge, ranked third among the 100 immortals. I can't believe he's here, someone exclaimed. With the judge here, there's no chance for escape. This punk is done for, another added. The hall buzzed with excitement as the judge's arrival promised chaos. Dustin! We're here to help you, shouted Isfred, along with a few injured shadow guards, as they entered the room. You won't be any help. Stay out of this, Dustin said flatly. Isfred frowned, feeling hurt for being dismissed like that. It was the first time in her life she had ever been treated this way. Even if we're not as skilled as you, we still have something to offer. It would be better to have more people on our side, she said firmly. Do what you want. Just don't get in my way, Dustin replied, uninterested. She frowned. As a top female fighter, she had never faced such open disrespect. No matter what, she was determined to show her true strength and prove that women could be just as powerful as men. Just then, she looked ahead and saw Judge standing right in the middle of the area. She froze in shock. What the hell is happening? Why is Judge here? Did the Hummers invite outsiders to the fight? Isfred thought, feeling both nervous and worried. With one of the strongest warriors from the 100 immortals present, they knew they were in serious trouble. Judge's skills were much greater than those of Darkwrath and Lightwrath, they weren't even close to being on the same level. This was a big problem. Chapter 259. Kiddo. You have 2 choices, kneel before Mr. Hummer or die. The judge's voice was cold, and his stare was steady and emotionless. He had been killing since he was 10 and had taken many lives since then. I choose death. Come at me if you can, Dustin replied, waving his finger in a challenging way. How insolent! The judge's eyes grew even colder as he threw his spear at Dustin. It flew straight toward his chest like a cannonball. Dustin didn't move. Instead, he caught the spear and hurled it back with a swift motion, sending it racing toward the judge with even more speed. The judge smirked and copied Dustin's action, grabbing his own spear. But as soon as he held it, he felt a shock like lightning. He staggered back, his feet sliding along the ground and leaving deep marks. How could this happen? The judge's face changed as he struggled to control his spear. A painful wound opened up between his thumb and index finger, blood oozing from the pressure. Despite the agony, he didn't let go. Ah! Realizing he couldn't stop it, he screamed in despair. Save me, Mr. Hummer. His arrogance vanished as fear took over. Before anyone could react, the judge's spear slipped from his grip and pierced through his chest. With a final whistle, it embedded itself into the wall, leaving a hole the size of an egg behind. Groaning in pain, the judge looked down in shock at his injury. Dustin looked at the lifeless body of Judge, who lay on the ground with a gaping hole in his chest. Judge's mouth opened as if he wanted to speak, but no sound came out. He fell backward, dead from his own weapon. The crowd was silent, shocked by what they had just witnessed. They had expected Dustin to be defeated by Judge, but instead, it was Judge who had fallen, impaled by his own spear with just a flick of Dustin's hand. No one could believe their eyes. The third-ranked warrior among the 100 immortals had died in such a strange and sudden way that it seemed unreal. Oh my goodness, where did this monster come from? Isfred exclaimed, her eyes wide in disbelief. Dark Wrath, Light Wrath, and Judge were all powerful fighters, yet Dustin had taken them down as if they were nothing. Who the hell is this kid? He actually killed Judge, someone whispered in shock. Who knows? He's really talented for his age, another replied, staring at Dustin with a mix of fear and admiration. Joshua, who had been watching, shook his head in surprise. Kiddo, I didn't expect you to be this skilled. I underestimated you, he said, though he quickly sneered again. The 100 Immortals was a ranking for lower-level martial artists, but they were far behind the divine-level martial artists. Joshua, being a divine-level fighter, was now capable of challenging the best of the best. Immortals. To Dustin, a low-level martial artist like Judge was as insignificant as an ant. Just like he had killed Judge with one swift strike, he could easily do the same to anyone else, with even less effort. This was the true power of a divine-level martial artist. Let her go, or you will die, Dustin said coldly. Kid, don't be so arrogant. Just because you took down Judge doesn't mean you can act recklessly in front of me. I'm already a divine-level martial artist. I could crush you ordinary people with just a flick of my finger. As Joshua spoke, his arms shook, and a menacing energy radiated from him. Chapter 260. Under Joshua's impressive strength, the guests in the hall began to back away. It felt like heavy rocks were pressing on their chests, making it hard for them to breathe. Wow! Mr. Hummer is amazing. He's already reached divinity, one guest exclaimed. He truly deserves to be called Boulderthorns. Genius. Achieving divinity before turning 30 is incredible. Even though the difference between a low-level and a divine-level martial artist is just one word, the gap in strength is immense. This kid is strong, but he's still nothing compared to Mr. Hummer, another added. The crowd buzzed with excitement as they witnessed Joshua's commanding presence. Suddenly, Tina, who was in the crowd, burst out laughing. You bastard! How dare you make a scene at Hummer Villa? Take a good look in the mirror. Joshua, give him a beating for me. Jade smiled as she watched Joshua, her eyes filled with admiration. I have great taste in men. He's so cool. A divine-level martial artist in his 20s was a rare find anywhere. Plus, he was a direct disciple of Boulderthorn. He had talent, skills, and a great background. It was hard to find someone as promising as him in all of South City. She felt proud of her choice. She believed that Joshua would definitely make a name for himself in the future. If he married her, he would have the full support of the Grant family. With their backing, he could become the next Tyler Grant. Edwin chuckled. The Hummer family has faced some tough times, but today is our chance to regain our prestige. From the second floor of the villa, Edwin watched the scene below with a proud smile on his face. Could he not be happy with such a talented son? What? The Hummer family has a divine-level martial artist? Isfrid gasped in shock. As she looked at Joshua, who exuded confidence, her legs began to shake uncontrollably. Divine-level martial artists were extremely rare. Achieving this level required not just hard work but also incredible talent. Many martial artists spent their whole lives trying to reach this level without success. But those who did achieve it found their lives completely transformed for the better. Among the Harmon family's shadow guards, there were more than 100 martial artists, but only one had reached divine status, the commander of the guards. What should we do now, Isfrid? With a divine-level martial artist as our opponent, we won't stand a chance, even if we all work together, one of the shadow guards said, fear evident on their face. Isfrid stayed quiet, her gaze shifting to Dustin. She desperately wanted to save Ms. Harmon, but with the Hummer's divine-level martial artist present, retreat seemed inevitable. Joshua smirked when he saw Dustin fall silent. Hey, kiddo. Are you scared now? You must be terrified. This is the difference between us. To me, you're just an ant. I'm giving you a chance. If you want to live, you better kneel right now. He had kept a low profile since becoming a divine-level martial artist, which was why not many people knew about his power. Today was the perfect opportunity for him to make a name for himself. So what? If you don't let her go today, I will kill you. Dustin shouted defiantly. Joshua's face was expressionless, as if he were staring at a lifeless body. Kill me, he said with a scoff. Kiddo, you really don't understand how serious this is. Since you don't seem to care about your life, let me help you. With that, he waved his hand, and a powerful burst of energy shot toward Dustin. Dustin didn't move to dodge, he let the energy hit him, standing firm. Joshua squinted, a bit surprised. When a divine-level martial artist unleashed energy, even a small attack was too much for a low-level martial artist to handle. The fact that Dustin could withstand it meant he was stronger than Joshua expected. I didn't think you had such skills, Joshua admitted. It makes sense you could kill Judge. But it's too bad you're up against me. Today, you'll see the difference between low-level martial artists and divine-level ones. Watch closely. With a grunt, Joshua leaped into the air like an eagle, aiming a slap at Dustin's forehead. The wind howled fiercely around him, and his clothes flapped wildly. The crowd stepped back, fearful of getting caught in the fight. Chapter 261. Isfrid and her team, standing behind Dustin, were struggling to breathe. They instinctively staggered backward. Is this what a divine-level martial artist is like? It's terrifying. The crowd exchanged worried glances, feeling anxious. Fool. Dustin sneered as he saw Joshua coming at him. In a swift move, he slapped Joshua hard across the face. The impact was so powerful that Joshua flipped in the air and landed headfirst on the ground. Everyone fell silent, shocked by what they had just seen. What the hell? The crowd was in disbelief. No one expected the once heroic Joshua to be knocked down so easily. They wondered if it was just a lucky hit. Josh! Jade and Tina rushed over, their faces pale with concern. They helped him up while he tried to gather his thoughts. Are you okay? Jade asked, her eyes wide with worry. What just happened? Joshua shook his head, looking confused. Everything happened so fast that he hadn't seen Dustin's move. One moment he was fine, and the next, everything went dark, and he was on the ground. You were beaten down by that bastard, Jade said, her expression a mix of confusion and disbelief. No way. That can't be true. Joshua refused to accept it. He must have gotten lucky. I must have slipped. Yeah. You must have slipped. Tina agreed vehemently, trying to support him. Kiddo. That didn't count. Let's go again. Joshua was determined not to lose. He charged at Dustin once more. Another loud slap echoed through the air as Dustin struck him again, sending Joshua flying back even faster than before. He was left bruised and defeated. The crowd gasped in shock again. While they could explain the first incident, this was beyond anything they expected. Dustin had won once by chance, but this time, his victory was truly incredible. "Let her go," Dustin said firmly. "You've gone too far." Joshua shouted, his anger boiling over. "I won't be able to sleep until I kill you." He pushed the two women aside and charged at Dustin again. This time, Joshua pulled out a dagger from his waist. With a weapon in hand, his attack would be deadly. "Go to hell!" Joshua yelled as he rushed forward, swinging his dagger with all his might. A sharp whistle filled the air as the blade flew towards Dustin's forehead with great speed. Dustin stood still, ready to take the hit. When the dagger struck his forehead, there was a loud bang, and it exploded into sparks of light. "What?" Joshua gasped, his eyes wide with disbelief. How could this be happening? Dustin had taken the attack directly, without flinching. Joshua was a skilled martial artist, capable of breaking rocks with his strikes. Yet, Dustin had blocked the attack with just his head. Impossible. I must be mistaken. Joshua shook his head in disbelief, unable to comprehend what had just happened. Chapter 262. Joshua gritted his teeth and raised his dagger once more. Die! He poured all his strength into the attack, convinced that Dustin wouldn't be able to block it, no matter how tough he was. Humph! Dustin was clearly fed up. As Joshua charged at him, Dustin swiftly grabbed the dagger with one hand. With a firm grip, he crushed the blade into pieces, the sound of metal crunching echoing in the air. What? Joshua stared in disbelief. Before he could react, Dustin reached out and pressed a finger against his chest. Boom! In an instant, Joshua felt as if his bones had shattered. He collapsed to the ground, feeling numb and unable to move. What did you do to me? Joshua gasped, shocked and terrified. He never imagined he would be beaten by someone so young and unknown. He was a divine-level martial artist. As the direct disciple of Boulder Thorn, he should have been unbeatable in Swinton upon his return. Why the fuck couldn't he defeat this kid? Where had Dustin come from? Let her go, he shouted, but Dustin ignored him, looking down with a sneer, as if Joshua were nothing more than an insect. You think you can take me on? What trick did you use? Joshua was still in disbelief, unable to accept that someone like Dustin could defeat him. You talk too much. Dustin snapped, clearly annoyed, and he stomped down hard on Joshua's knees. With a sickening crack, blood sprayed everywhere. Joshua screamed in pain, his face twisting in agony as sweat dripped down his brow. How dare you, you son of a bitch, he shouted, feeling fury rise within him. You insolent brat, he yelled, but the sight of Joshua in pain only made Dustin seem more powerful. Injured, the crowd became furious. A large group of guards from the Hummer family quickly surrounded Dustin. They were armed with guns, clearly prepared for a confrontation. Rhys! Let go of my brother. If you don't, I'll command my guards to shoot. Tina shouted, trying to sound strong. Even though Dustin was powerful, he was still human and could be hurt. With so many guards around him, escaping without injury was unlikely. Go ahead and fire. I want to see who gets hit first, Dustin said coldly, showing no fear. Tina was frustrated. If the guards shot, they would also hit Joshua, who stood right next to Dustin. Dustin Rhys. We're in Hummer Villa. You can't act like this here. Let him go, or you'll regret it. Jade said, her face expressionless. She had not expected Joshua to lose to Dustin. But in this world, bravery didn't matter as much as power. Joshua had the Hummer family and Boulder Thorn on his side. After marrying Joshua, Jade would also have the support of the Grant family. Who would dare challenge him then? I'll regret it. I can't wait to see just how much," Dustin declared, and with that, he stomped down hard on Joshua's other leg, breaking it. Chapter 263. After a brief moment of shock, Joshua screamed loudly, sounding like a pig being slaughtered. "How dare you, you bastard!" Edwin shouted, his eyes wide with disbelief. He couldn't believe Dustin had the nerve to chop off Joshua's arm in front of everyone. This was too much. "How could you hurt Josh?" Jade cried out. She was furious that someone like Dustin would dare to stand up to them. Did he want to get himself killed? "Rhys! You're going to pay for this!" Tina yelled. Dustin had humiliated her before, and now it was Joshua who was suffering. The Hummer family couldn't let this go unpunished. "Let her go," Dustin replied coldly. "Fuck you. You'll regret hurting my brother." Tina spat back. Dustin didn't respond. Instead, he raised his sword and swung it again, cutting off Joshua's other arm. Blood spilled onto the floor, and Joshua's right arm fell into the pool of blood. He howled in agony, his face twisted in pain. Sweat dripped from his forehead. He was no longer the proud figure he once was. "You monster," someone yelled. "How dare you," another voice cried. "This is unacceptable," came another shout. Dustin's second attack only brought more outrage. Not only had he chopped off Joshua's left arm, but now he had taken the right one too. This was a blow to the Hummer family's honor. In their anger, the Hummer family realized that Dustin was completely unhinged. "Let her go!" Dustin shouted again, this time pressing his sword against Joshua's neck. The cold look in his eyes made the onlookers shiver. They had seen many villains before, but this was unlike anything they had witnessed. Dustin's cold, emotionless gaze sent chills through everyone around him. He wasn't angry, nor was he shouting. Instead, he remained calm and composed, which only made him more frightening. It was clear to everyone that he wouldn't hesitate to harm Joshua if the Hummer family didn't comply with his demands. "Let her go." Edwin forced the words out, his teeth clenched. He had to give in, he couldn't risk Joshua's life. He had already seen how cruel Dustin could be. "Dad!" Tina was in shock. How could the powerful Hummer family bow down to someone like him? "I said, let her go." Edwin snapped, his focus solely on saving Joshua. Reluctantly, Tina bit her lip and began to loosen Natasha's ropes. As soon as Natasha was free, she slapped Tina twice, hard. Tina was left speechless. "That's just the interest you owe me. I'll collect the rest later," Natasha said before walking confidently toward Dustin. She had never been one to stay quiet when wronged, and after being slapped, she felt the need to retaliate. "Why, you bitch," Tina fumed, feeling humiliated. Dustin and Natasha were infuriating. Chapter 264. "Let her go, Dustin. It's your turn now." Edwin struggled to control his anger. If Dustin hadn't played such dirty tricks, they wouldn't be in this mess. "I never agreed to let anyone go," Dustin replied, refusing to back down. "You kidnapped Ms. Harmon and hurt her family. Do you really think I'll just let you off the hook? Rhys, I'm warning you, don't push this too far." Edwin's expression turned ugly. "This is the Hummer family's territory. You're dreaming if you think you can just walk away without consequences. I'm giving you a chance, let Josh go, and I won't hold a grudge for what happened before. But if you don't, you'll leave here hurt." Jade chimed in, "He's right. Let Josh go, or you'll make an enemy of the Grant family." Dustin stayed silent for a moment, looking at Natasha. If she ordered it, he wouldn't hesitate to eliminate Joshua. But Natasha calmly said, "Losing both arms will teach him a lesson. Let him live for now." She wanted to kill Joshua, but he was an important disciple of the Boulderthorn Guild and Jade's fiancé. Killing him would only create more problems for her. Dustin would also become the target of the Boulderthorn Guild and the Grant family, and that would make things much more complicated. Dustin nodded. Okay, he can live, but he still has to face the consequences. With that, he kicked Joshua hard in the stomach, sending him flying and howling in pain. Edwin and the others rushed over, helping Joshua up. He spat out blood, his face twisted in agony. Through gritted teeth, he managed to say, "Dad, he destroyed my cultivation." The earlier kick had shattered his core. What? Edwin and the others gasped in shock. With Joshua's cultivation and core destroyed, he would be left unable to walk properly. Edwin's face turned red with anger as he yelled, "How dare you ruin my son's future, you brat!" They could find ways to heal Joshua's limbs, but a shattered core was irreversible. "Dustin, you and your whole family are dead meat. From now on, you are the enemy of the Grant family. I will chase you to the ends of the earth." Jade screamed, her face twisted with hatred. Joshua had been her ticket to a brighter future, and Dustin's kick had destroyed it all. "I bet you didn't think karma would catch up with you after you bullied and harmed innocent people," Dustin said calmly. "What goes around comes around. Since you've hurt others, now it's your turn to feel pain." Dustin Rhys. From this day on, the Hummer family, the Grant family, and the Boulder Thorn Guild will hunt you down. "We won't stop until you're dead," Edwin shouted. "Bring it on. I want to see what you all can do," Dustin replied without flinching. He could have easily killed Joshua with his sword, but he didn't want to create more trouble for Natasha. Still, he had no plans to let the Hummer family escape unpunished. If they really pursued him, he would destroy them. "Shoot him. Hurry!" Tina yelled. "Yes, ma'am." A group of bodyguards with guns quickly aimed at Dustin. But before they could fire, Dustin swung his sword. A bright beam of light shot toward them, cutting through their waists. In that moment, cries of pain filled the air. That was just a glimpse of Dustin's power, and he had only just begun. Dustin swung his sword with incredible strength, taking down more than 20 people in one powerful move. The crowd stared in shock, unable to believe what they had just witnessed. This can't be happening," they whispered, frozen in place. Without wasting any time, Dustin turned to Natasha and the others. "Let's go," he said firmly. He made sure to keep an eye on them as they walked away. Tonight, he had delivered a crushing blow to the Hummer family. He felt unstoppable. Chapter 265. As they left Hummer Villa, Natasha, who had been trying to be strong earlier, suddenly felt her knees give out. She almost fell, but Dustin quickly caught her. "Are you okay? Do you feel sick?" he asked, worry in his voice. "No, I'm just really tired. My knees feel like jelly," she replied, shaking her head. After being so tense, now that she could relax, she felt weak. "Miss Harmon, I'll carry you." Isfred stepped up to offer her help. "I don't want to trouble you when you're hurt," Natasha said. "I'm fine. My injuries aren't serious," Isfred insisted, patting her chest to show she was okay. "You're hurt, and that's serious." Natasha's voice turned firm as she glared at Isfred. Okay," Isfred said, realizing something as she glanced at Dustin. "I do feel a bit dizzy." "I'll carry her," Dustin said, looking resigned. He gently lifted Natasha into his arms. She was strong, but after what she had gone through, she needed support. "Thank you for tonight," Natasha said with a sweet smile, resting her head against his chest. The warmth and strength of him made her heart race. Maybe this was what people meant by feeling secure. "It's no trouble. I couldn't just stand by when a friend is in trouble," Dustin replied with a smile. "Just a friend?" Natasha raised an eyebrow, a hint of bitterness in her voice. "What else could you be?" Dustin pretended not to understand. "You're so clueless." Natasha frowned and playfully bit his shoulder. Dustin winced but didn't say anything. "This is my mark on you. As long as it's here, you belong to me. If you try to reject me, I'll bite you again," she warned, showing her teeth. Dustin grimaced but held back a laugh. He didn't say anything to argue with her. He enjoyed holding her soft body in his arms, and her sweet scent made him feel excited. They hadn't known each other for long, but he was already starting to fall for this lively woman. That's why he felt so anxious when he heard she had been kidnapped. It was also why he had taken action against the Hummer family. Right now, Hummer Villa was in chaos. Dustin had stormed in, taking down their men with just one blade. He even crippled Joshua, who was the pride of the Hummer family. Their dignity and arrogance were crushed underfoot. "Dad, I'm crippled. I can't believe this." Joshua cried out from his bed. With his abilities destroyed, he felt like his life was over. "Josh, don't panic. I will have our men find a miracle doctor right away. I'll spend whatever it takes to get you treated," Edwin promised. Jade nodded eagerly. "He's right, Josh. You will recover. The Grant family has many rare medicines that can help restore your abilities. But I don't just want to recover, I want revenge. I want that Rhys bastard to pay for this," Joshua growled. "Don't worry, I've already told Mark about this. He'll be here soon, and that kid won't stand a chance when Mark arrives," Jade assured him. "Mark?" A glimmer of hope appeared in Joshua's eyes. No matter how strong that kid is, he can't compete with Mark. Joshua had only just gained his powers a few days ago and was still getting used to them. His foundation was unsteady, which was why he could only summon 50% of his strength. But Marcus Kent had reached a level of divinity 3 years ago and was now among the heavenly immortals. He was more than capable of handling Dustin. Killing him quickly would be too easy. "Let's go after everyone he cares about, so he knows what it feels like to be a public enemy," Tina said angrily. "You're right. Let's put out an order to capture Dustin and his crew. Whoever brings me his head will earn a reward of $1 billion," Edwin commanded. The Hummer family sprang into action as soon as the news spread, especially excited about the reward. Meanwhile, at Park Place, Jessica paced the living room, clearly worried. Ruth was also restless, while Quentin seemed calm. In reality, he was pleased about Natasha's kidnapping. If something happened to her, he could take over the company. Ideally, both Dustin and Natasha would be eliminated at Hummer Villa, allowing Quentin to finally get his revenge. Mrs. Harmon, the butler, burst into the room. "Is there any news about Natasha?" Jessica's heart raced. Although she trusted that the Hummers wouldn't act recklessly, she couldn't be completely sure. "The Shadow Guards just reported that Miss Harmon has been rescued. She's a bit banged up, but overall, she's fine," the butler said. "That's wonderful." Jessica sighed in relief, her face lighting up with joy. "I knew she would be okay. How could anything happen to her?" Ruth laughed. Quentin clenched his teeth, frustrated. He had waited around for this disappointing news. What the hell was wrong with the Hummer family? How could they be so weak? How could Natasha get away so easily? Jessica smiled, thinking, "We were right to send in the Shadow Guards. Without them, this rescue mission wouldn't have gone so well." But the butler looked a bit uneasy. "Mrs. Harmon, the Shadow Guards didn't actually rescue Miss Harmon." Jessica frowned. "Who else could it be? Do you mean the Hummers let her go on their own?" "The Hummers didn't release her willingly, and the Shadow Guards didn't help either," the butler replied. "It was Mr. Dustin Rhys who saved her all by himself. He defeated Darkwrath, Lightwrath, Judge, and the best fighters from the Hummer family. None of them could stand up to him." Jessica and the others were speechless. Dustin had taken down so many foes all by himself. Was he even human? Chapter 266. The next morning at Peaceful Medical Center, Dustin woke up early. He washed his face and started making breakfast, his favorite dish, deviled eggs. The smell filled the kitchen and made him smile. Just as he set the food on the dining table, Dahlia walked in. "Wow, that smells amazing," she exclaimed. Today, she wore a smart suit and heels. Her hair was tied back in a ponytail, showing off her slender neck. She looked delighted to see the breakfast. "Are those deviled eggs? How did you know I hadn't eaten yet, Dustin? Since you made this for me, I won't hold back." She sat down and eagerly started eating. This isn't, Dustin began to say something, but his bedroom door swung open, revealing a stunning woman. Darling, I'm starving. Is breakfast ready? It was Natasha, dressed in an oversized shirt. As she stretched, the shirt slipped down, showing a hint of cleavage. She and Dahlia locked eyes, both surprised. What the hell are you doing here? They asked at the same time. The tension in the room was thick. Dustin, what's going on? Dahlia glared at him. She noticed that Natasha was wearing his shirt, and it was obvious something was off. Don't jump to conclusions. It's not what you think, Dustin tried to explain, but Natasha interrupted him. Since we've been caught, we might as well be honest. There's nothing to hide, she said with a smirk. So, you slept with her? Dahlia bit her lip, feeling a wave of jealousy. She had always believed Dustin could be faithful, but now she wasn't so sure. Why ask when it's so clear? Natasha said, pulling her shirt down to reveal more of herself. Nothing happened, Dustin said, rubbing his temples as a headache started to form. Miss Harmon was injured yesterday, so I brought her here to treat her. That's all. Dahlia looked closely at Natasha and noticed her wounds. Even so, jealousy crept into her voice. Why didn't she go to a hospital if she was hurt? Why the fuck come here? I can go wherever the hell I want. It's my choice, Natasha replied with a smirk. And if I'm not mistaken, you two are divorced, right? So, it's none of your damn business if something were to happen between me and Dustin. Divorced or not, we could always remarry. Dahlia shot back, her eyes narrowed defiantly. Do you think marriage and divorce are a joke? What the hell do you think of Dustin? Natasha's smile faded. Ms. Nicholson, wanting more than what you had can be greedy. You chose to walk away, so you have to face the consequences. Everyone makes mistakes. What matters is realizing them and trying to make things right. I messed up before, but now I'll do everything I can to make it up to him. Dahlia glanced at Dustin, hinting at her intentions. Since you won't back down, let's see who's better at this. Chapter 267. Natasha shrugged and took a seat at the dining table. She reached for the deviled eggs and smiled, saying, "Thank you for breakfast, darling. You're so thoughtful." "Actually, those eggs are mine," Dahlia replied, pulling the plate closer to her. "It's been 3 years, but I still love Dustin's cooking. He knows I can't resist deviled eggs." Ms. Nicholson, you need to stop thinking so highly of yourself. The past is gone. These eggs belong to me now, Natasha shot back, dragging the plate toward herself again. Miss Harmon, taking something from someone they love isn't a good habit. These eggs are made just for me. Dahlia insisted. What makes you think I don't like deviled eggs? I love everything Dustin makes. Natasha countered. Humph. Just because you like them doesn't mean they're right for you. Dahlia replied with a smirk. It's my fucking choice whether they're suitable. Natasha argued. Their conversation grew more intense as they tugged the plate of deviled eggs back and forth. Neither woman wanted to give in, as if losing the eggs meant losing something important. Dustin watched the scene unfold and felt a headache coming on. He honestly didn't think he deserved all this attention. In the guest bedroom, Caitlin peeked out, confused by the noise. Max, what do you think Miss Harmon and Ms. Nicholson are doing? Do they really need to fight over some eggs? Caitlin, you're too young to understand the complexities of a relationship between a man and a woman, Maximus said mysteriously, stroking his chin. They're not just arguing over the eggs, it's about their fucking pride as women. Pride? Caitlin still didn't understand. Dustin personally cooked those eggs, whoever gets to eat them first wins this battle. Max explained with a grin. Maximus watched in amazement. Just like I thought, he's incredible. Beautiful women are all around him, but he stays focused and calm. Look, they're about to fight, and Dustin still looks so relaxed. He's definitely someone to admire. Dustin, with his keen senses, overheard them. He turned and shot a glare at Maximus and Caitlin. The two quickly ducked back into the room but peeked out a moment later. Dustin, you decide. Who do these eggs belong to? After a heated debate, Natasha and Dahlia turned to Dustin, determined to get the answer they wanted. Dustin felt the pressure of the question. His lips twitched, and he started to sweat. These are my eggs, he blurted out. He grabbed the plate and quickly ate all the eggs. With that, the argument was over. Humph. The two women shot each other angry looks before turning away, still unwilling to back down. Only Dustin could think of such a clever solution. Maximus admired Dustin's quick thinking. He felt like dropping to his knees in appreciation. This was what a true pro looked like. Once he finished the eggs, Dustin broke the silence. Dahlia, did you come here for something? Do I need a reason to visit? Dahlia replied, still looking annoyed. Well, no, Dustin admitted, feeling a bit awkward. I came because we're having guests, and you need to meet them. You might even be able to make some money. I don't want people to think you're just living off me. Dahlia shot Natasha a sharp glance as she spoke. What's wrong with him relying on someone? Not everyone gets that chance. Natasha replied, unfazed. Soon enough, the two women were arguing again. Chapter 268. Ms. Nicholson, did you come here because you need something from me? Dustin asked, sensing the tension in the room. What, do I need a reason to come here? Dahlia shot back, glaring at him. I didn't mean it like that. He looked a bit uncomfortable. Let's just get to the point. You know Dr. Rowan Cross, right? I want to ask him to examine someone. Dahlia didn't beat around the bush. Examine someone? Dustin sized her up and checked her pulse. Confused, he said, you're fine, aside from being a little stressed. You just need to manage your emotions and diet. You're the one who's out of whack. Dahlia glared at him again, her face flushing. I'm not the one needing an exam, it's for a relative who fainted yesterday. She has a headache, but the hospital said she's okay. She wanted Dr. Cross to check her just to be sure. I see. Dustin nodded. But there's no need to bother Dr. Cross for something so simple. I can handle it. You? Dahlia looked at him doubtfully. Can you really? My medical center has been around for years. If I didn't know what I was doing, it would have closed down by now, Dustin said confidently. Dahlia was speechless. She had never seen any patients at his shabby medical center. How was that any different from being closed? If you don't trust me, we can forget it, Dustin shrugged. Who said I don't trust you? You're in. Dahlia declared firmly. I'll be honest, this relative of mine is important. If you can help her, it could really boost your career. You won't have to rely on anyone else anymore when that happens. She shot a pointed look at Natasha. What's wrong with relying on others? Someone? Natasha puffed out her chest. At least my darling can rely on someone. Not everyone has that fucking ability. Dahlia scoffed, no decent man would want to be at a woman's beck and call. That would be humiliating. What use is a man if he can't serve a woman? He can't entertain himself, can he? Natasha rolled her eyes. Why, you, Dahlia was frustrated. How could Natasha be so rude? She had no sense of being ladylike at all. Alright, that's enough. We need to focus on your relative's health. Let's go to the hospital, Dustin said quickly when he saw the tension rising between the two women. He gently pulled Dahlia out of the medical center. Darling, come back soon, okay? I'll be waiting for you. Natasha called out, giving him a flirtatious smile and blowing him a kiss. She also undid another button on her shirt to show more cleavage. Dustin found himself staring. Humph. Dahlia stepped on his foot and shot him a warning look. He smiled awkwardly and looked away. Get in the car. She pushed him into the car and drove off quickly. Do you really think you can compete with me, you flat-chested preteen? Natasha smirked, glancing down at her ample chest, proud of what she had. Half an hour later, in one of the wards at East Swinton Hospital. My head hurts. I feel like it's going to split in half. Jane lay in a hospital bed, clutching her head and occasionally hitting it lightly to ease the pain. Mom, just hang in there a little longer. Dr. Cross will be here soon, Dakota reassured her. No one knew what had happened. Jane had suddenly fainted the day before and had been complaining about a headache since she woke up. They had done all the tests. The doctors ran several tests, but the results showed that nothing was wrong with Jane. I shouldn't have come to this awful place. We've had problem after problem since we got here. First, someone crashed into our car. Then I got slapped for no reason. Now, I have this awful headache. What did I do to deserve this? Jane looked miserable. We'll go home as soon as you're feeling better, we're never coming back to this dump again. Dakota said. She then turned to Florence, who stood at the entrance of the ward, and shouted, "What's taking so long? When is Dr. Cross coming? Tell him to hurry." Of course, Florence replied quickly. She rushed out of the ward, took out her phone, and was about to call when she saw Dahlia and Dustin walking toward her. "Dahlia, you're finally here," she exclaimed, her face lighting up. "Your aunt's headache is getting worse, and the doctors here aren't doing anything. Dr. Cross is our only hope. Where is he?" She looked around but couldn't see him. Dahlia shook her head. "He's busy and can't come right now." "What? What are we going to do?" Florence was shocked. Had they been waiting for nothing? Dustin has some medical knowledge. Maybe he can help. Dahlia suggested. Him? Florence frowned. Have you lost your mind? How can he possibly know anything about treating a patient? What if something goes wrong? He helped Granddad when he was poisoned, remember? I believe in him, Dahlia said firmly. She had misunderstood Dustin before, but this time, she chose to trust him completely. Stop this nonsense. Your grandfather only survived because of Dr. Cross's hexanavir, it had nothing to do with him. Florence scowled, looking disdainful. Do you have a better idea, then? Dahlia asked. Florence was at a loss for words. Since we're out of ideas, why don't we let Dustin give it a try? We can think of something else if it doesn't work, Dahlia said firmly. Rhys, you'd better be careful. Don't try to pass off anything as a cure. Florence warned. The two patients in the ward were very important to her, and if anything went wrong, she would be in serious trouble. Let's check on the patient, Dustin said, not wanting to argue with her. Humph. Come with me. Florence said as she led Dustin and Dahlia into the ward. As soon as she entered, her confidence faded, and she put on a sweet smile. Florence, what took you so long? Where's Dr. Cross? Dakota asked, clearly frustrated. I'm here. Florence replied eagerly, waving towards the others behind her. Look at the doctor we've brought. Ha! Dakota and Jane looked up and gasped, It's you. Chapter 269. Dakota was taken aback when she recognized Dustin. He looked equally surprised to see her. Never did he expect that the two girls Dahlia had mentioned were related to him. What a small world. Oh, do you know each other? Dahlia asked, glancing between them. Not just know each other, Dakota snapped, her teeth clenched. He's the bastard who beat us up yesterday. Everyone gasped in shock. Dakota, are you sure it's him? Florence asked carefully. Of course. I'd know him anywhere. My mom probably has a headache from his slap. Dakota was furious. Right. I must be sick because of that slap. Someone should arrest him. Jane yelled from her bed, still angry about what happened. Dustin, why did you hit them? Dahlia was confused about why he had a problem with Jane and Dakota. They deserved it, Dustin replied simply. They crashed into another car and almost hurt someone. But they acted like bullies, so I slapped them because I couldn't take it anymore. You little shit. Do you know who they are? How dare you hit them? Florence was furious to hear that Dustin had touched her two beloved girls. Don't waste time talking to him. Call the police now. Dakota fumed. No, wait. Dahlia jumped in to stop them. This might be a misunderstanding. We shouldn't blow this out of proportion. How about Dustin helps with Aunt Jane's illness to make up for his mistake? Humph. We don't need his help. Jane spat on the ground. Just look at how he behaves. What if he makes things worse? Who will take responsibility? That works for me. I don't want to treat you either, Dustin said calmly. By the way, remember what I told you before? Headaches on the first day, coughing up blood on the second, paralysis on the third, and a sudden death on the fourth. Today is the second day, so you won't have to wait long before you start coughing up blood. After that, you'll just have to leave your fate to God. You're a fucking jinx. Stop talking nonsense. Jane trembled with anger, and her headache grew worse. Did you hear him? How dare he curse my mom? This is an order, get him arrested. If you don't, I'll hold you responsible. Dakota started shouting at everyone around. Florence's face fell, and she yelled at Dustin Rhys. Apologize to them now. If you don't, I won't go easy on you. Apologize? They don't deserve it, Dustin laughed. If anything, they should apologize to me. If they do, I might think about helping your mother. That's ridiculous. Who do you think you are? You can't treat my mom. Jane shouted. Exactly. We can hire any good doctor we want. We don't need you showing off. Dakota added. Jane and Dakota were being stubborn. They believed someone like Dustin had no right to help them. Keep being stubborn. I hope you don't end up begging me later, Dustin said with a chuckle, shaking his head. Beg you? What a fucking joke. Jane replied angrily. Dahlia sneered, even if I had a terrible headache or felt so much pain that I wanted to jump off a building, I still wouldn't give in to you. Okay. We'll see, Dustin replied before leaving. Dahlia frowned as he walked away, but after a moment's thought, she decided to chase after him. Once they were gone, James rushed in with an old man wearing a cloak. Mom! The skilled doctor you wanted is here. Florence quickly asked, the skilled doctor? Where is he? James stepped aside to reveal the cloaked man. This is Dr. Fenton Reyes from the Bloomington Medical Center in Stonia. He's a veteran in his field and comes from a line of royal physicians. His skills are legendary. Royal physicians? Florence asked in surprise. Chapter 270. Florence, Jane, and Dakota were thrilled to see the doctor. They knew he must be impressive based on how James talked about him. Jane and Dakota felt they deserved the best care, and Dr. Fenton Reyes was just that. James, how did you get Dr. Reyes to come here? He's a legend in Stonia. Florence asked, her curiosity piqued. James smiled and said, it wasn't me. Mr. Langford arranged for Dr. Reyes to come see Aunt Jane. Mr. Langford? Florence's eyes lit up at the mention of his name. Louis Langford was a wealthy and influential aristocrat from Stonia. He had strong connections in the military and government. More importantly, the Langford family was close friends with the Nicholson family from Glenstead, Moorcover. The Nicholsons were interested in an arranged marriage between Louise and Dahlia. If Dahlia agreed, she could quickly marry into the wealthy Langford family, lifting her entire family's status. That's so kind of Mr. Langford. He asked for a skilled doctor as soon as he heard about my mom's illness. That's how we have Dr. Reyes here. Dakota said as he led the doctor to Jane's bed. Where are you hurting? Dr. Reyes asked gently. I have a headache. It feels like my head is splitting in half. Jane replied, scrunching her face in pain. She looked weak and worn out. I'll take a look, Dr. Reyes said as he carefully placed his stethoscope on her. After a moment, he said, there doesn't seem to be any serious issue. You're likely just sleep-deprived and stressed. He then took out a bottle of medicine and poured 3 white pills. Take 1 pill a day for 3 days, and you'll feel better. Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Reyes. Jane exclaimed, her spirits lifting. Florence saw this as a chance to impress the doctor. You really are the legendary Dr. Reyes. You managed to cure an illness that has left many doctors confused. Humph. That Rhys bastard was just trying to scare us when he said my mom would cough up blood. He's full of nonsense. A fake like him needs to be dealt with. Dakota said angrily. Exactly. Once I'm better, I'll take care of him. Jane said as she swallowed a pill. But instead of feeling better, her headache grew worse, and she was soon sweating coldly from the pain. Just as she was about to ask the doctor what was going on, she started coughing violently. Her face turned red from the effort. Mom! What's happening? Are you okay? Dakota asked, worry filling his voice. Suddenly, Jane coughed up a mouthful of blood that splattered across her face. What the fuck just happened? Everyone in the room was shocked by how quickly Jane's condition had worsened. They exchanged worried glances with one another. Panicking, Dakota called out for the doctor. Dr. Reyes, what's wrong? Why did she cough up blood? That's strange. I'll check again, Dr. Reyes said, looking concerned. He examined Jane closely, but soon his expression turned serious. I'm sorry to say this, but your mother has a terminal illness. She's in the late stage. I'm afraid she doesn't have much time left. What? A terminal illness? The room fell silent as everyone processed the shocking news. Hadn't Dr. Reyes just said Jane would be fine? Why had his diagnosis changed so suddenly? I'm sorry, but I can't help any further. I need to go, the old doctor said, lowering his head in shame. He stood up and left while the others stared at him, panic rising in their hearts. First headaches, then coughing up blood, and now this? Was that guy right? Jane whispered to herself, feeling overwhelmed. Quick! Get Dustin Rhys back here. Now, someone shouted. Chapter 271. Dahlia caught up with Dustin at the hospital entrance and tugged on his arm. Hey! Wait up! You're walking too fast. I almost couldn't catch you. I'm sorry. I just can't deal with your relatives. You should get another doctor to handle them, Dustin replied coolly. He really didn't want to talk to the 2 difficult women. Did I make you treat Aunt Jane? Why are you being so sensitive? She rolled her eyes at him. Honestly, I thought, he started but paused, unsure how to explain. What? Did you think I'd force you to bow down to them? She scoffed. No, not at all. He smiled sheepishly, feeling a bit awkward about her new, more understanding attitude. Okay. I know they can be tough. Just try to stay away from them in the future. She gave him a kind reminder. They come from a wealthy and powerful family in Glenstead. Even Natasha Harmon couldn't help you if you get into trouble with them. Really? They sound impressive, then, he said, smiling casually. They are impressive. The 3 powerful families in Glenstead have a long history, going back centuries. They're well connected in the military, government, and business, just like everyone says. She tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. I was planning to bring you along to impress them, but I didn't know you'd already clashed with them. You've missed a chance to get ahead. No thanks. I'm not interested in that opportunity, he replied with a shrug. Humph. It seems like you don't appreciate my help. She rolled her eyes at him again, though this time it was a little playful. Hey! Dustin Rhys. Stop! Dakota burst into the room, out of breath and soaked in sweat. My mom just coughed up blood. You need to go check on her right now. She had raced up the stairs to catch up to Dustin instead of taking the elevator, which explained her panting. Isn't this the same person who swore she'd never ask for my help, even if she had to jump off a building? Dustin teased. Stop joking around. just do what I say. Dakota shot him a fierce look. If you help her, I'll forget about that slap I owe you, and I'll even give you a chance to get closer to my family. To Dakota, this was a rare opportunity for someone like Dustin Rhys, who she considered unimportant. Thanks, but I'm not interested, he replied nonchalantly. Dustin Rhys. Think about it. Not everyone gets a chance like this. You should feel lucky I'm offering it to you. Dakota tossed her hair back, acting like the spoiled princess she was used to being, always expecting attention and praise. No, that's too much of an honor, he said, refusing her without a second thought. Don't get too full of yourself. I wouldn't have asked if you weren't at least a decent doctor. Don't be delusional. She glared at him. Then you should leave. I won't see you out, he shrugged, showing he didn't care. You, Dakota felt her anger rising at his stubbornness. If they were in Glenstead, she would have made sure he faced serious consequences. Dustin Rhys, what will it take for you to help us? If you want money, just say so, she snapped. You want me to save your mom? I will, but only if both of you apologize to me. I need handwritten apology letters, he said calmly. An apology? You must be fucking joking. Her anger flared even more at his demand. Who the hell do you think you are? You can't ask us for an apology. The Nicholsons were aristocrats, far removed from the lowly peasant class that Dustin Rhys belonged to. There was no way Dakota, from the noble family, would give in to his demands. If you won't apologize, then let's just drop it. Just make sure you find a better doctor for your mom, Dustin said, not caring about their threats. You don't need to intimidate us. With our connections, we can hire any skilled doctor we want. I'm giving you a chance to make things right, but if you don't take it, don't be surprised when I make you pay. Dakota shot back. Chapter 272. Once my mom is better, we'll finally talk about everything that's happened. Dakota said sharply, her eyes blazing with anger. Go ahead, Dustin replied with a casual shrug. You. Dakota said, her voice tight. She was grinding her teeth so hard that the sound was noticeable, but she felt powerless to act. Just then, a loud commotion erupted near the hospital entrance, and they both looked up to see a military motorcade pushing its way through. The motorcade was an impressive sight. Soldiers sat on top, armed and giving off a menacing vibe. People and cars quickly moved aside to let them pass. That's odd. What's the military doing here? Are they after someone? Dahlia wondered, looking around in confusion. Dakota nodded, equally puzzled. Suddenly, the commander shouted, "Quick, surround them." The soldiers jumped off the motorcade and quickly formed a circle around Dustin and the two women. The sight of the guns pointed at them sent a chill down their spines. What the hell? Dahlia gasped, her face going pale. She had expected to watch something exciting, not to be surrounded by guards. Don't worry. This has nothing to do with you. They're here for me, Dustin said, scanning the soldiers. He already had a plan. They're here to arrest you. Why? Dahlia asked, shocked. She couldn't understand what crime Dustin could have committed to warrant such a military response. It's just a minor issue. Nothing to worry about, Dustin said with a calm smile. A minor issue? Dahlia frowned, still confused. The military was here for Dustin, and he still thought it was a small issue. Dustin, you committed murder in broad daylight. We are ordered to arrest you and bring you to justice. If you resist, you will be killed, the commander said, his expression cold. Dahlia felt a chill at the commander's threatening presence. Commander, is there some kind of misunderstanding? She asked carefully. Anyone not involved needs to step aside immediately. If you don't, you'll face the same charges, the commander replied harshly. Don't worry, I'll be fine. You should go home, Dustin said, placing a reassuring hand on Dahlia's shoulder and smiling gently. Dahlia started, unsure of what to say. How could this huge situation be nothing at all? But there was nothing she could do to help right now. Rhys, I bet you never thought this day would come. Dakota suddenly laughed, enjoying Dustin's trouble. You must have done something really bad to bring the military here. Here's your chance. If you cure my mother's illness and apologize to me, I'll help you. Chapter 273. I don't need it, Dustin said, firmly turning down Dakota's offer. You don't need it? Dakota was shocked. She never imagined that in such a critical moment, Dustin would refuse her help. Did he really want to give up on life? Dustin, don't make decisions based on your feelings. Dahlia urged, gripping his sleeve. I don't care what crime you committed. Your life matters. The Nicholson family has military connections, only they can save you now. They can't save me, and I don't want their help, Dustin replied, shaking his head. He recognized the license plates and flags of the troop. They were from the Balerno military. The people in Glanstead wouldn't be able to help him. Besides, Edwin had worked hard to send such a large troop after him. There was no way he would let Dustin escape. Honestly. You're on the edge of death, and you're still so fucking stubborn. Dakota scoffed, sticking out her chin. You clearly don't understand how serious this is. Without the Nicholsons, you'll be stuck in there forever. Dustin, please. Just agree to her terms. Dahlia begged, her worry evident. A regular person couldn't stand up to a military officer. High-ranking officers had the power to easily crush civilians. With a single command, they could make someone disappear. You don't need to worry about me. I'm just going in for a cup of tea. I'll be out soon, so you should head home, Dustin said with a faint smile. He knew that the military deserved some respect for coming all this way. Enough talking. Take him away, the commander shouted, clearly losing his patience. He ordered his men to cuff Dustin and shove him into the car. Then, with a group of guards following, Dahlia felt a rush of anxiety as the plan unfolded smoothly. Everyone was moving quickly, and no one was wasting time. But she felt helpless. Her connections couldn't reach the high-ranking military officials needed to save Dustin. Suddenly, an idea struck her. She turned to Dakota and pleaded, Dakota, you have a lot of connections. Can you help Dustin and get him out? Dakota crossed her arms and replied, I already offered him help, but he refused. It's not my fucking problem. Dahlia quickly changed her approach. Even if you don't care about Dustin, think about your mother, she urged. Dakota frowned. She didn't care much for Dustin's fate, but her mother was sick with a terminal illness, just as Dustin had said. If Dustin died, wouldn't that put her mother at greater risk? Will he really help my mother if I save him? Dakota asked, unsure. I promise he will. Dahlia insisted, looking serious. Okay, I'll trust you this time, Dakota replied, nodding. She pulled out her phone and began reaching out to her contacts. Some of her relatives were in the military, so she knew this favor wouldn't be a problem. Meanwhile, Natasha was relaxed on a lounge chair at the peaceful medical center, sipping her tea like the confident owner she was. Suddenly, Ruth rushed into the room, breathless and anxious. Natasha, something happened. Chapter 274. What's wrong? Natasha asked, looking surprised. I just heard that Dustin has been arrested by the military. Ruth quickly explained what had happened. As Natasha listened, her expression turned serious. Using the military to arrest him? This must be someone with a lot of influence behind it. Do you think the Hummers are involved? Ruth asked, frowning. Dustin went on a rampage at the Hummers yesterday and even hurt Edwin's son. They won't let this slide. It definitely has to do with them. But just Edwin's connections wouldn't be enough to call in the military. I suspect the Grant family is also involved, Natasha said, thinking it over. Jade was Joshua's fiancée. There was no way the Grant family would stay quiet about this. As part of the Tremendous Three, the Grant family had a lot of power over the Balerno military. It would be easy for them to deal with someone without support. Even though Natasha knew Dustin was in trouble, she didn't expect it to escalate so quickly. What should we do now? Ruth asked nervously. Find out where Dustin is being held. I'll take care of the rest. Natasha said, then turned and walked out the door. She knew the fight was just beginning. This time, she would take on the Hummers head-on. Meanwhile, at the Hummer villa, Joshua lay on the bed, his face pale. His arms were covered in thick bandages, and he looked weak. An old man, frail and focused, sat beside him, diligently treating his wounds, sweat forming on his forehead. Edwin and Tina watched quietly from the doorway, not daring to interrupt. Edwin hesitated to make a sound, not wanting to disturb the old man in front of him. This was Dr. Rowan Cross, the miracle doctor. After a while, Rowan finally stood up. Edwin couldn't help but ask, Dr. Cross, how is my son? Mr. Hummer, I have reattached your son's arms, Rowan replied, wiping the sweat from his forehead. However, he won't be able to lift heavy things from now on. What about his internal injuries? Can his injured core recover? Edwin pressed, anxious about his son's future and whether he could regain his abilities. Restoring the core is not like fixing the arms, it's very difficult, Rowan explained. But I can look into ancient methods that might help. He didn't make any promises. Please, Dr. Cross, do everything you can. Our family will reward you handsomely once it's done. Edwin said, filled with gratitude. As long as there was hope, they couldn't give up. It's all that damn Dustin's fault. How? Could he hurt my brother so badly? I'm going to tear him apart. Tina exclaimed angrily. Wait a minute, Rowan interrupted, pausing. Did you just say Dustin hurt your brother? Yes. That bastard did. Tina confirmed, nodding vigorously. Rowan's expression darkened. From what I can see, your brother cannot be treated. He'll be a cripple for the rest of his life. Hope for the best. Farewell. With that, he left with his medical kit. Edwin and Tina exchanged confused looks. What just happened? Rowan had seemed so kind earlier, and now this? Why did his mood change so fucking quickly? Were all miracle doctors like this? As Rowan stepped out of the Hummer villa, he turned back and spat on the ground, angry. How dare you ask me to help your family after what you did to my savior? Fuck you. Chapter 275. At a military base drill ground, Dustin was chained to a pillar with thick dark steel chains. The sun beat down on him as a group of armed soldiers watched closely, their eyes on his every move. Dustin, however, appeared unfazed. He remained calm and collected, his expression unreadable. This surprised the soldiers. Most people would be terrified in his situation, but there seemed to be something different about him. A man in a deputy general's uniform approached, flanked by his soldiers. He had a round face and a noticeable beer belly. So, you're Dustin Rhys? He asked. Don't tell me you captured me without knowing who I am, Dustin replied coolly. Cut the crap. Answer the general's question, shouted one of the military officers. Fine. Yes, I'm Dustin Rhys, he said. Good, the general nodded. Now that we have the right guy, let's start with 50 military whips. That should send a message to others like him. The officers around him flinched at his words. Military whips were no ordinary punishment. Just a few could knock someone out cold, and 10 could leave a person near death. Surviving 20 was rare, and 50? That was unheard of. It seemed the general meant to kill Dustin. Wait, Dustin interjected suddenly. You're a general, aren't you? Don't you think it's a bit against protocol to whip me without asking a single question? The round-faced man looked down at him with arrogance. My words are the only protocol here. I decide your fate, you understand? Peasant. You don't have the right to say no, the round-faced man sneered. Dustin narrowed his eyes. I suppose that means you're going to abuse your power. So what if I am? I have hundreds of guns aimed at you. Do you really think you stand a chance against them? The man scoffed. Dustin shook his head. Quality over quantity. Having that many guns doesn't mean much. The man sneered. putting up a brave front, are we? You'll regret this when you're on the brink of death. Whip him. He waved his hand. A burly man approached, holding a steel whip that dripped with salt water, promising to make any wounds even more painful. I'll ask you one last time. Who sent you here? Dustin asked. I did. A figure stepped out from behind the round-faced man and lowered her hood. It was Jade. I bet you didn't expect to end up in my hands, Rhys. You were so obnoxious last night, but now you're nothing but my prisoner, she sneered. What happened last night was between me and the Hummer family. I suggest you stay out of it, Dustin replied coolly. Jade scoffed. Joshua is my fiancé. I want nothing more than to skin you alive for crippling him. Joshua deserved what he got. You shouldn't risk yourself over this, Dustin said. Jade laughed mockingly. You don't understand your situation. Your life is in my hands, how dare you threaten me? Believe what you want. Just remember, you might regret this, Dustin warned, not wanting to waste more words. Keep it up. I'd like to see how arrogant you are once you're bruised and battered, Jade shot back, looking at him as if he were already dead. All right, enough talking. Jade, don't waste your breath on him. Let's just sit and watch the show, the round-faced man said, waving his hand. Soon, some military officers brought over a table and 2 chairs. The round-faced man pointed to a spot in the shade for them to be placed. Then he and Jade took a seat. Well, what are you waiting for? Go ahead and whip him with all you've got. With that, the burly man began to work, starting to whip. Chapter 276. Each crack of the burly man's whips echoed loudly, reaching ears from miles away. Jade laughed mockingly at the sound and said, "He's doing a great job." Dustin had been so obnoxious the night before, barging into the Hummer villa and defeating their men. She needed to make him pay for it. Jade, you must be exaggerating when you say this brat is hard to deal with, said the round-faced man with a scoff. Look, he's just a prisoner with his life in my hands. He's a very powerful martial artist, just so you know, Jade replied. There were several people at the Hummer villa last night, but none could stand against him. She still felt shaken by what had happened. Ha! No matter how powerful he is, he's still just a martial artist. Do you really think he can withstand my troops? The round-faced man sneered. Over the years, the military has captured many famous martial artists. They all eventually bowed to the military's authority. I guess you're right, Jade agreed. The martial world was separate from the government, but it wasn't organized. How could it compete with the authorities? While they talked, the burly man kept whipping Dustin. Each crack was loud, but Dustin didn't flinch. Instead, the whip broke under the impact. What the hell? The burly man exclaimed, shocked. The whip had been specially made to withstand blades and fire, so why did it break against him? Was Dustin somehow stronger than he appeared? The burly man stared at Dustin, confusion growing. He had whipped Dustin several times already, but it seemed like the punishment had no effect at all. Dustin had been whipped at least a dozen times, yet he looked completely fine. His clothes were torn, but he had no injuries at all. It was as if the whips had never touched him. What the fuck? The burly man, who was used to this kind of work, started sweating nervously. He had never faced a situation like this before. Why has the whipping stopped? The round-faced man finally noticed something was wrong. The whip broke, sir, the burly man said, swallowing hard. Get another one. Don't stop until you finish the 50 whips, the round-faced man shouted angrily. Yes, sir. The burly man rushed to find another steel whip and began whipping Dustin again as if his life depended on it. But soon, the second whip broke just like the first. What in the world? The burly man couldn't believe what he saw. Breaking one whip could be a coincidence, but breaking two felt like a bad sign. He started to think there was something about Dustin that made him impossible to hurt. Why have you stopped again? Keep going, the round-faced man urged, growing impatient. Sir, the whip broke again, the burly man said, looking conflicted. What? How useless can you be? I'll do it myself, the round-faced man shouted. He ordered a soldier to bring him another whip and stormed over to Dustin. He started whipping him without hesitation, but after just a few swings, the whip shattered too. At that moment, Dustin, who had been lying there with his eyes closed, opened them and asked, "Are you done? If you are, can I get something to eat? I'm feeling a little hungry." Chapter 277. What? The round-faced man stared at Dustin in shock. Dustin was calm and composed, but the round-faced man knew how much pain the steel whip could inflict. Even the toughest men couldn't handle more than 10 lashes, yet Dustin seemed perfectly fine after taking even more. In fact, he had shattered 3 whips. What the fuck was going on? "Brat, what kind of magic do you have?" he growled. "Cut the nonsense and get on with it," Dustin replied with a yawn. His relaxed attitude only made the round-faced man angrier. "Damn it! I want to see you survive this." The round-faced man grabbed a sword from one of his subordinates and swung it at Dustin. There were 2 loud clinks as the blade hit Dustin's body twice. He was unharmed, but the sword was chipped. "Is that an adamantine shield?" Jade gasped. Being part of the martial world, she quickly understood what was happening. Dustin's ability to block weapons showed he had mastered a strong defensive technique. However, it required a lot of internal energy. Most martial artists couldn't maintain it for long. Regular weapons won't work on him. "We need to call in a professional," Jade said. "Humph. I'll admit this brat isn't a typical martial artist, no wonder you all struggled with him. But he's up against me now." The round-faced man narrowed his eyes. "Do you have a plan to deal with him?" Jade asked cautiously. "We soldiers are good at fighting enemies, not at torture. But it doesn't matter. I know someone in the Ministry of Penalties who is an expert. Once he arrives, this brat will be begging for death." The round-faced man grinned savagely. "Oh? Who is this expert?" Jade asked, intrigued. "Expert?" Jade's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Blood Beast, one of the 2 most powerful executioners from the Ministry of Penalties," the round-faced man replied. "Wait, you know him?" Jade gasped. Although she wasn't part of the authorities, she had heard terrifying stories about Blood Beast. People whispered that he killed without hesitation and had a taste for human blood. Throughout his time with the ministry, he was responsible for the deaths of hundreds, if not thousands. Each victim suffered brutal torture, making many wish for death long before it came. That's why many criminals chose to end their own lives rather than face Blood Beast. At least that way, their deaths would be quick and painless. Torturing others is Blood Beast's favorite hobby, especially when it comes to powerful martial artists. They are hard to kill, and he loves the challenge. Someone like this brat is just what he enjoys. The round-faced man's eyes gleamed with excitement. This brat won't stand a chance against Blood Beast, no matter how tough he thinks he is. If you can get Blood Beast to agree, that is. Jade sneered, hoping for the worst for Dustin. She wanted him to experience the most horrific torture imaginable. "I'll contact him right now." The round-faced man pulled out his phone and began dialing. "Enjoy your last moments of peace, Rhys. Once Blood Beast arrives, it's all over for you." Jade sneered at Dustin. He had often talked about karma catching up with people, and she was eager for him to face his own consequences. Dustin didn't even bother to look at her. Instead, he closed his eyes, taking a moment to rest. "Jade, it's way too hot standing here. Let's sit in the shade," the round-faced man said as he led Jade to a table after finishing a call. A moment later, Dustin spoke up. "Hey, I'm hungry. Is there anything to eat?" "Feeling hungry, are you? Someone get him some snacks," the round-faced man chuckled. Before long, a soldier brought over food and drinks and set them down by Dustin's feet. "How am I supposed to eat like this? Can you loosen my bonds?" Dustin asked calmly. The round-faced man laughed mockingly. "My kindness only goes so far. It's not my fault you can't reach it." Since you're so strong, why don't you try breaking free from those chains? Chapter 278. Are those chains strong enough to hold him? He seems more powerful than he looks. What if he breaks free? Jade asked, her voice filled with concern. Don't worry. Our chains are made of dark steel and can handle any force. Not even an elephant could break free, let alone a human. Now that he's bound, he can't escape without the key, replied the round-faced man confidently. He had seen many powerful martial artists, and none had managed to break the dark steel chains. Well, that's good to hear, Jade said, feeling a little relieved. But just as she spoke, she heard the sound of chains snapping. She turned to look at Dustin, who had only stretched, yet the chains lay in pieces around his feet. What the hell? The round-faced man was so shocked that he dropped his pastry. Jade was equally bewildered. What had happened to the chains being unbreakable? How could Dustin have shattered them so easily? The round-faced man quickly regained his composure and shouted, "Surround him." At his command, the armed soldiers rushed over and surrounded Dustin. He seemed completely unfazed. "Relax, I just want to eat," he said as he sat on the floor and began munching on the food laid out for him. The round-faced man stared at him in disbelief. What the hell was this kid capable of? How could he stay so calm with so many guns aimed at him? Once Dustin finished his meal, he was chained up again. This time, there were twice as many chains, making him look like a taco. Still, the round-faced man didn't let his guard down. He ordered his men to keep a close watch on Dustin at all times. If he made any wrong moves, he would be shot immediately. After a while, a military jeep drove onto the base and stopped at the drill ground. A thin, middle-aged man stepped out slowly. Even though he was skinny, his presence was intimidating, and his eyes were piercing. Jade felt her mind go blank as she locked eyes with him. It was as if she had encountered a wild animal ready to attack, and a wave of fear washed over her. "Mr. Blood Beast," called out a round-faced man, hurrying forward with a big smile. "I'm sorry for not welcoming you properly. It's great to see you here. Let's get straight to the point, General Jenkins. I'm bored, and I need some excitement. Where's the tough guy you mentioned?" Blood Beast wasted no time. "Right here. He's tied to the pillar," the round-faced man said, pointing at Dustin. Blood Beast looked in Dustin's direction, squinting as he studied him. "Strange. He looks familiar." "Oh? What a coincidence. If he's familiar to you, it must be fate that you two meet. I just hope you give him a memorable experience, Mr. Blood Beast." The round-faced man smiled, but it was a sinister smile. Blood Beast chuckled. "Of course. It'll be my pleasure, and I'll be doing what I enjoy. I hope he lives up to my expectations." He reached into a canvas bag and poured out its contents. A variety of strange-looking torture instruments spilled out. Most people would never see these tools in their lifetime. Only those in the Ministry of Penalties would understand their meaning. The more delicate they looked, the worse the pain they could inflict. Chapter 279. Ha! General Jenkins and Jade were shocked when Blood Beast suddenly fell to his knees. They exchanged confused glances. What the hell was going on? Just moments before, Blood Beast had seemed fine. Why was he kneeling on the floor now? Was he praying before he tortured the skinny man? While the others looked surprised, the skinny man was terrified, sweat pouring down his face. As a student of the executioner, he knew the significance of the Kirin tattoo. The black Kirin tattoo was unique in the world and had become a symbol of great power. No wonder that person looked familiar. No wonder he dared to call the executioner by his real name. This man was the Kirin of the Rhys family, who had nearly caused a national disaster 10 years ago. Oh shit! What terrible things had he done? He had encountered a harbinger of doom. He needed to escape before trouble hit. "Mr. Blood Beast, what's wrong? Are you hurt?" General Jenkins asked, rushing to help the skinny man up. "Damn it, it's all your fault!" Blood Beast yelled, slapping General Jenkins hard across the face. General Jenkins stumbled back, shocked. Mr. Bloodbeast, why did you hit me? He held his sore face, trying to understand what had just happened. Why did I hit you? You should be thankful I didn't fucking kill you. What did I ever do to you? If you want to die, don't drag me down with you. The skinny man kicked General Jenkins to the ground and grabbed his bag, running away. He even left behind his torture tools but didn't dare to go back for them, acting like he'd seen a ghost. Ha! General Jenkins looked confused again. What could have scared Bloodbeast, the notorious killer, into running away? How the hell did this happen? Jade's eyes grew wide with disbelief. She had thought Bloodbeast would help her get revenge, but here he was, fleeing before even using his torture tools. Chapter 280. General Jenkins stood tall and proudly announced, I am the Deputy General of the White Tiger Army, serving under Chief General Spanner. Whoever that guy is, I can take him down easily. Just wait and see. Just after he spoke, his phone rang loudly. He answered the call. Hello, General Jenkins. This is Hunter Anderson. You've captured someone you shouldn't have. Let him go now, and you might still save yourself. Who the hell do you think you are? Don't tell me what to do. Get lost. General Jenkins shouted before hanging up. Looks like someone is begging for Dustin's life, Jade said with a smirk. She had expected this would happen. They think they can take him from me? Not a fucking chance. General Jenkins said, tightening his lips. With the support of the Grant family, he felt untouchable in the southern province. Just then, his phone rang again. General Jenkins, this is someone from the Harmon family. One of my associates was captured by your team. I believe there's been a misunderstanding. Please release him. That's not happening. Dustin's crimes are serious. I've already sent him to the Ministry of Penalties. No one can save him now. Jenkins replied firmly. But the calls kept coming. After the second call, the third rang in, then the fourth, and the fifth. They just wouldn't stop. Hello, General Jenkins, this is Roderick Brooks. General Jenkins, I'm calling for the Glenstead Nicholson family. Jenkins, I have a favor to ask. More calls kept flooding in, and not only were there more of them, but the urgency in each voice was rising. The situation was getting more urgent. At first, General Jenkins felt annoyed, but soon even officers of the same rank were calling him, begging for mercy. While he wasn't afraid, it was becoming quite a hassle. Finally, he switched off his phone. He was done dealing with it. Wow, I didn't realize you had such a strong network. I underestimated you, he said, looking up with a cold smile. But it won't matter. I can handle this all by myself. Oh, really? I'm curious to see you try, Dustin replied with a light smile. I want to see what tricks you have up your sleeve, General Jenkins said with a sneer. Just then, an officer rushed in. General, the Murray family is here. The Murray family? Who's that? General Jenkins asked, raising an eyebrow in surprise. He introduced himself as Adjutant General Damon. He wants to speak with you, the officer explained. Adjutant General Damon? What's he doing here? The general's expression turned serious, and he looked a bit worried. While others might not understand, he knew that Adjutant General Damon was Christopher's personal guard. And who was Christopher? He was the second-in-command general of this generation and a key figure in the Murray family. Even though he had been discharged, his influence in the army remained strong. General Jenkins wouldn't hesitate to show respect, even to Christopher's dog. After a brief moment of silence, General Jenkins decided to go outside and greet Adjutant General Damon. Let's go see what this is about, he said. As he and his men approached the entrance of the base, they spotted a casually dressed middle-aged man wearing glasses. At first glance, he seemed like an ordinary person, but his sharp eyes reminded them of an eagle's. Well, if it isn't Adjutant General Damon. What brings you here? General Jenkins said with a smile, stepping forward to make small talk. Before he could say anything more, Adjutant General Damon raised his hand and quickly slapped him to the ground. Chapter 281. Adjutant General Damon walked up to General Jenkins and, without saying a word, slapped him hard across the face. General Jenkins was stunned. He took a moment to gather himself. He had greeted Adjutant General Damon with a smile, but this unexpected slap felt like a serious insult. What the fuck was that for? General Jenkins exclaimed, his expression darkening. He glared at Damon, feeling humiliated. Just because Damon was Christopher's adjutant general didn't give him the right to treat Jenkins this way. After all, Jenkins had the support of Chief General Spanner, who outranked Christopher. That slap was a lesson, Damon replied coolly. You shouldn't have arrested Mr. Rhys. Release him now, or you'll face the consequences. Are you threatening me? Jenkins scoffed. Damon, you're just an old general's lackey. What fucking authority do you have over me? I may not have the authority, but the general does. If you want to avoid trouble, do as I say, Damon said, his face expressionless. Don't use the general's name to intimidate me. Jenkins shot back angrily. The person I arrested is guilty of a serious crime, and I have proof. You can't just demand his release. If Adjutant General Damon had approached him more politely, Jenkins might have considered letting Dustin go out of respect for Christopher. But slapping him had crossed a line. General Jenkins, I warned you. If you stay stubborn, no one will be able to help you, Damon cautioned. Do you think I'm fucking afraid? Jenkins said, glaring back. I am Chief General Spanner's subordinate, after all. He shouted, what do you think you're doing, Damon? Adjutant General Damon looked calm as he replied, I'm here to make sure you release Dustin. Not a chance. Not even if God himself asked me. General Jenkins yelled back. Fine. Just remember, you may regret this. Damon turned and walked to his car, leaving Jenkins behind in a cloud of exhaust. Damn that son of a bitch. How dare he act so superior? Jenkins muttered, spitting on the ground and rubbing his sore cheek. He felt like he was having the worst day ever. First, Blood Beast had slapped him, and now he had to deal with Damon. Everything felt off. What's wrong? Jade asked as she approached. Don't ask. A crazy guy from the Murray family just tried to get me to release Dustin, Jenkins replied, clearly annoyed. Seriously? Does that punk really have connections to the maze? Jade frowned. Who cares? The Grant family is just as powerful as the maze. We shouldn't be scared of them. Jenkins snapped. Good point, Jade agreed. Just then, they noticed a large motorcade approaching from down the road. The vehicles were decorated with the Murray family flags, and dozens of military trucks filled with soldiers drove in, quickly blocking the entrance to the base. As the trucks stopped, over 300 armed soldiers jumped out, all focusing their attention on General Jenkins. The atmosphere grew tense, as if a fight could break out at any moment. Damon, what the hell are you doing? General Jenkins shouted again, seeing Adjutant General Damon leading the soldiers. General Jenkins was furious. How dare you bring so many people to invade my base? Are you trying to start a rebellion? Adjutant General Damon replied calmly, I'm just following my general's orders to take your hostage. If you won't hand him over, I'll have to take him by force. Jenkins couldn't believe it. The fucking nerve. I serve Chief General Spanner. Is the Murray family declaring war on him? Damon shrugged. I'm just doing my job. What happens next doesn't matter to me. Jenkins realized there was no room for negotiation. All right then. Let's see who has the bigger army, he shouted loudly. In an instant, a wave of soldiers poured out of the base. Chapter 282. General Jenkins' soldiers were getting ready to face the Murray family's army. The atmosphere quickly turned tense and hostile. Go in and save him, yelled Adjutant General Damon, giving an immediate order. No, you won't. General Jenkins stepped in front of him, pulling out a gun from his waist. Anyone who takes a step forward will be shot. You can try, Adjutant General Damon replied, showing no fear as he moved forward. "You're really testing me." General Jenkins growled, his eyes filled with anger. Just as the two sides were about to clash, several military helicopters suddenly appeared in the sky. They flew overhead, then hovered above the battlefield. "That's Chief General Spanner," someone shouted. Seeing the helicopters, General Jenkins' face lit up with joy. "Ha ha ha, Spanner's private helicopter. Damon, you're in trouble now. Let's see what you can do with Chief General Spanner here." He laughed, feeling confident. Chief General Spanner was known for standing up for his people. With an attack happening, he wouldn't just sit back and watch. Jenkins imagined Adjutant General Damon getting a serious beating. As the crowd moved aside, the helicopters slowly descended and landed on the field. The cabin door opened, and a handsome young man with a strong presence stepped out, followed by a few female officers. "Chief General Spanner, you arrived just in time." General Jenkins rushed over to greet him, eager to impress. "These traitors are trying to cause a prison break at my base. Please help us, Chief General Spanner. They've been tormenting the people." "I was just about to torture him, too," General Jenkins said eagerly. "Torture him?" Adam's eye twitched, and a fierce look crossed his face. "Where is he?" "He's tied up right there." General Jenkins pointed in the opposite direction. Adam turned his gaze and his eyes widened in shock. It was really him. When Adam first heard Dustin Rhys's name, he had hoped it was just a coincidence. After all, many people share the same name. But now, he found himself face to face with Dustin in a terrible situation. "Rhys, even Chief General Spanner is here. Let's see if you can survive this." Jade laughed from the crowd, enjoying his plight. At first, Jade felt a little worried when she saw how large the Murray family army was. But now, everything seemed fine because Chief General Spanner was present. Who would dare challenge him? "Chief General, this guy is tough. I tried to torture him earlier but didn't succeed. But since you're here, I'm sure you have a way to handle someone like him," General Jenkins said with a flattering smile, unaware of the seriousness of his situation. "Your name is Richard Jenkins, right?" Adams suddenly asked. "Yes. I'm the Deputy General of the White Tiger Army under your command." "I didn't think you'd remember me, Chief General." General Jenkins's face lit up with joy, thinking he was being recognized. "Capture him, strip him of his position, and prosecute him," Adam commanded. Immediately, two female officers moved in and pushed General Jenkins to the floor. "Chief General, what the fuck did you say?" General Jenkins looked confused as everything started to unfold. Why was he getting fired all of a sudden? Adam didn't pay any attention to the commotion. Instead, he quickly walked over to Dustin and smiled, feeling a bit sorry. "Buddy, I'm really sorry about my subordinate. He caused you a lot of trouble." As soon as he spoke, everyone went quiet. Chapter 283. Be buddy? General Jenkins was shocked to see Adam's friendly face. He couldn't believe it. The man standing in front of him was the famous god of war. He was also the youngest chief general of Dragon Marsh, a powerful figure who commanded thousands without reporting to anyone. But how could this incredible warrior actually call Dustin his buddy? Jade was in disbelief. No fucking way. How could that guy know Chief General Spanner? Her eyes were wide, and she was stunned. According to her research, Dustin was just a nobody. There was no way he could have a connection to the legendary god of war. Dustin smiled and replied, "Now that you mention it, it's been a long time since we last met. You're doing well for yourself, you rascal. I might have to start borrowing money from you soon. Don't joke around." Adam said, looking a bit confused. "I can't fit someone as great as you in my small place." Dustin chuckled, "Since we're meeting again, let me treat you to a cup of tea." "Someone, come and free him." Adam signaled. "No need. I'll handle it myself." Dustin stretched, and everyone heard the sound of metal clinking. Suddenly, the thick chains wrapped around him shattered into pieces. Everyone stared in disbelief. Those chains were made of dark steel and were supposed to be unbreakable, and yet he had broken them just by stretching. It was fucking astonishing. "Oh, by the way," Dustin said, turning to Adam, "how do you plan to deal with those two?" General Jenkins and Jade were in a tense situation. Adam said casually, "Of course, we'll follow the procedure." Kidnapping and torture? That's got to mean at least a few decades in prison, right? Jade and Jenkins turned pale at his words. A lifetime felt like just a few decades. Were they really going to die in prison? "No! You can't lock us up!" Jade shouted, shaking her head fiercely. "Dustin is the one who is guilty. What right do you have to imprison us?" Adam smiled slightly. "What right do I have? Well, I have more power than you. Does that satisfy you?" "You're abusing your power," Jade exclaimed defiantly. "You're right, I am," Adam replied bluntly, just as General Jenkins had described him earlier. "You can try to lock me up. I am a member of the Grant family," Jade declared, refusing to back down. "The Grant family?" Adam laughed as he tossed her a phone. "Here's a chance to call for help. I'm curious to see who would dare come to your rescue." Jade was stunned. Deep down, she knew that the Grant family wouldn't challenge Adam, the god of war, for her sake. Why the hell did things turn out this way? "Who are you?" She looked at Dustin, her eyes filled with surprise, defiance, hatred, and mostly despair. Adam shrugged. "Since you're going to die anyway, I'll tell you. The young man you just kidnapped is Logan Rhys, the eldest son of the Rhys family and one of my closest friends." "Logan Rhys?" General Jenkins gasped, collapsing to the floor in despair. Now he understood everything. He finally realized why Blood Beast had fled and why so many important people had contacted him. General Murray had sent his army for Adam's release, but Adam couldn't shake off his nervousness. He wondered why the general had taken such a step and what it meant for him. Chapter 284. The person Dustin arrested turned out to be the oldest son of the powerful Rhys family, a family that could easily shake the military's foundations. Jade felt her heart sink the moment she learned Dustin's true identity. She was overwhelmed with regret for trying to avenge Joshua. She realized that a man with broken arms and a shattered core was not worth risking her entire family's lives. "Jade Grant, is this what you call a nobody?" General Jenkins shouted, turning to glare at her. "I've done nothing to you, so why am I being dragged into this?" Jade stammered, struggling to find her words. She was on the verge of tears. "How dare you trick me? You're dead meat." General Jenkins roared as he lunged at Jade, teeth bared. Chaos erupted as he attacked her. "Let's go have a drink," Dustin said, ignoring the scene and leaving with Adam. Meanwhile, in the East Swinton Hospital ward, Dakota's expression turned serious after a phone call. "So, any news about Dustin? Can he be saved?" Dahlia asked eagerly. "No, he can't. General Jenkins from the Grant family arrested him. I tried calling the elders, but they said Jenkins won't listen to them. Glenstead's military can't interfere in Balerno," Dakota replied, shaking her head in frustration. "The Grant family?" Dahlia frowned. "Why? What did Dustin do to upset them?" "I found out he committed a serious crime. He broke into the Hummer family's home and started killing people. He even hurt Edwin Hummer's son, Joshua. And Joshua's fiancée is Jade Grant, the daughter of Sir Robert Grant. The Grant family will never let Dustin go without punishment," Dakota said sadly. She didn't care about Dustin's fate. Dahlia was upset as she faced a tough decision. "Isn't there another way?" she asked. "What if I beg the Grant family? I'll pay anything, even if it leaves me broke." "That's fucking ridiculous, Dahlia," Florence yelled. "Why would you go to such lengths for a man you divorced? He's helped me so many times. I have to save him," Dahlia replied firmly. Dakota shook her head. "It's useless. The Grant family is one of the strongest in Balerno. They won't care about your money. Then what should we do? We can't just sit here and wait, Dahlia said, her brows furrowing in worry. Money won't help. We need someone influential to talk to them, Dakota suggested. Someone influential? Who? Dahlia asked, unsure. The only person who can stand up to the Grant family is Mr. Langford from Stonia, Dakota said. If you ask him for help, saving Dustin should be easy. Mr. Langford? Dahlia felt troubled. She didn't think he would help a stranger like her. Yes, Dahlia. The best option is to ask Mr. Langford. I got his number during dinner last night. I'll call him right now. Florence said, pulling out her phone eagerly. Even while worried that Dahlia might sacrifice everything for Dustin, Florence hoped that this situation would bring Dahlia closer to Luis. During their meeting the night before, Florence noticed that Luis had feelings for Dahlia, and the Glenstead Nicholsons were also hoping for a marriage between them. Chapter 285. Hello, is this Mr. Langford? Dahlia has something to say to you, Florence said as she handed the phone to Dahlia after the call connected. Dahlia? If you need anything, just say the word. I'll help if I can, a lazy voice replied. It's me, Mr. Langford, Dahlia said firmly. I'll get straight to the point. A friend of mine has been arrested by the military, and I need your help to get him out. Arrested by the military? That sounds like serious trouble, Luis responded, a hint of arrogance in his tone. I wouldn't come to you if I had any other choice, Dahlia said tiredly. What's your friend's name? He asked. Dustin Rhys, she replied. All right. I'll help you, but on one condition, Luis said. What is it? Dahlia asked. Have dinner with me tonight, Luis said bluntly. Dahlia paused, immediately understanding what he meant. You won't refuse such a small request, will you? Luis teased. Of course not, Dahlia said, forcing a smile. Compared to what you're doing for me, it's nothing. Great. Then it's a date. I'll see you tonight, Luis said cheerfully. After a bit more small talk, Dahlia hung up. Well? Did he agree? Florence asked eagerly. He did, but I have to have dinner with him tonight, Dahlia said with a sigh. That's wonderful. Hurry home and get ready. Don't keep Mr. Langford waiting, Florence urged excitedly. Dahlia, you should take this opportunity seriously, Dakota said with a knowing smile. Glenstead wants to see your relationship with the Langfords deepen, possibly even into marriage. They originally had another woman in mind, but Mr. Langford didn't like her. This is a huge opportunity. Don't waste it. Dahlia shook her head. I'm not interested in marrying into a rich family. Then who do you plan to marry? Someone like Dustin? Dakota rolled her eyes. What's wrong with you? If you marry into the Langford family, you can have anything you want. Why stay stuck in a place like this? Exactly. You've struck gold. Don't be stupid, Florence added. Our family is counting on you to make us rich. Chapter 295. Compared to Luis, men like Chris Nolan and Matt Laney were nothing. The Langford family stood at the absolute top of Stonia's social hierarchy. Dahlia looked at their eager faces but remained silent. She used to crave power and status, but now she realized they didn't matter as much as she once thought. As night fell, a jeep pulled up in front of Ferry Harbor Restaurant. Dustin and Adam stepped out. I thought we were going for drinks. Why are we here? Adam asked. The wine here is good. It's brewed in-house, Dustin replied. You should try it. Really? Then I'm in. They entered the restaurant, chatting casually, and found a seat on the second floor. Hey, man, Adam said as soon as they sat down. Is it true you got married? Chapter 286. I did, but I'm already divorced, Dustin replied calmly. Holy shit. Adam grinned. Then my sister finally has a shot. Looks like I'll be calling you brother-in-law soon. Get lost, Dustin said, rolling his eyes. What kind of brother are you? Why would you drag your sister into this? She dragged herself into it, Adam snapped. You have no idea how much she harassed me after finding out you were alive. If the border war hadn't broken out, she would have flown back just to see you. Is Scarlett doing well? Dustin asked. You're still worried about her? Adam replied nervously. That girl's been training since she was a kid. With her talent, she's already a grandmaster. I can't beat her anymore. Who the hell would dare mess with her? Adam had always feared two people in his life, Dustin, who had beaten the shit out of him since childhood, and his sister Scarlett. Being around either of them made him feel pathetic. Dustin chuckled. She is talented. It makes sense. 10 years had passed. He never imagined the little girl who once followed him everywhere would become Stonia's famed goddess of war. Why don't you just marry her? No one else could handle her anyway, Adam said earnestly. If Scarlett married Dustin, Adam could finally stop being used as her daily punching bag. That's bullshit, Dustin said, kicking Adam lightly. Scarlett is like a sister to me. She might not see you that way, Adam shrugged. Honestly, I doubt she'd marry anyone else. You'll end up taking responsibility whether you like it or not. That's enough. Shut up and drink, Dustin said irritably. He poured Adam a full glass. Finish it. Feeling bold, Adam downed it in one go. They continued drinking and talking, and before long, both were slightly drunk. By the way, when are you going back? Adam asked, his tone suddenly colder. Why would I? Dustin replied casually. Life's good here. All I need to do is make sure Gregory recovers. True. But the Rhys family still needs an heir, Adam muttered. There's still Austin, Dustin said. That useless piece of shit? Adam scoffed. All he does is party and screw around. If he takes your place, who knows how many people he'll ruin? He's not that hopeless, Dustin said seriously. The kid's smart. Give him time, he might surprise you. You serious? Adam stared at him. You're comparing me to that idiot? People called me a loser for years too, Dustin said with a faint smile, saying no more. With that woman around, his stepbrother could never be ordinary. Holy hell, look at that woman. Adam suddenly exclaimed. Where? Dustin followed his gaze. A Lamborghini had stopped at the restaurant entrance. A sharply dressed man stepped out, followed by a breathtaking woman in a long black dress, elegant and radiant, like she had walked straight out of a painting. Why her? Dustin frowned, his expression instantly darkening. That woman was none other than Dahlia. Chapter 287. Dustin never thought he would run into Dahlia there. Even worse, she was with another man, and it looked like they were on a date. For some reason, this bothered him. He had just escaped from the military and his life was still in danger, yet here was Dahlia, carefree and enjoying herself. It felt like she didn't give a shit about him at all, and that made him feel foolish. Do you know her? Adam noticed Dustin's change in mood and asked. Yeah. She's my ex-wife, Dustin replied flatly. Your ex-wife? Adam raised an eyebrow. Maybe we should go somewhere else. No one likes to see their ex-wife happily chatting with someone else. Forget it. I didn't do anything wrong, so why should I hide? Dustin took a sip of his wine, feeling resentful. Just then, Dahlia and her date, Luis, reached the second floor. As soon as she saw Dustin, she exclaimed, Dustin. What are you doing here? Why can't I be here? Dustin shot back coldly. When did you get out? Why didn't you tell me? Dahlia rushed over, looking joyful. Does it matter if I tell you? Dustin replied with a stoic expression, surprising her with his attitude. What's wrong? Are you hurt? Should we go to the hospital? She asked, concerned. I'm fine, Ms. Nicholson. Thank you for asking. You should focus on your date instead of me, Dustin said. Boyfriend? Dahlia glanced at Luis and quickly added, You've got it wrong, Dustin. We're just friends. You don't need to explain, Dustin replied harshly. Just friends? Did she really think he was that stupid? Since when do normal friends of different genders arrive together in the same car for a dinner date? I'm telling you, you're misunderstanding things, Dustin, Dahlia said, pointing to the other man. Let me introduce you to Mr. Louis Langford. He's from Stonia and has connections with the military. You got out so quickly because of him. Is this the friend you mentioned, Dahlia? He's lucky to have someone like you looking out for him, Louis said with a smile, but his eyes looked down on Dustin. I don't know who Mr. Langford is, and I don't give a damn, Dustin replied bluntly. He has nothing to do with my freedom. Aren't you a little too full of yourself? Louis laughed. Do you honestly think you'd be here if I hadn't called the Balerno military? I don't know what you did, but don't flatter yourself. I don't need your help, Dustin shot back coolly. Dustin! How can you talk to him like that? You should be grateful to the person who helped you. Dahlia frowned. She realized Dustin was acting this way because he was jealous, but he shouldn't disrespect Louis, who was more important than him. When did I ever ask him for help? You two did this on your own, Dustin said, unconcerned. You, Dahlia stomped her foot in frustration and took a deep breath to calm down. Stop being an ass, Dustin. What did I do? Was I interrupting your date? If that's the case, I'll leave you two alone, Dustin said, getting up to leave. Wait. Dahlia quickly grabbed his arm. What is wrong with you? I told you we're just friends. Why won't you believe me? Chapter 288. Just friends, huh? Then you won't mind coming home with me right now. Dustin snapped. But, Dahlia frowned and looked between Dustin and Louis, feeling uneasy. She didn't have feelings for Louis, but he had helped her, and it didn't feel right to just abandon him. What's the matter? You don't want to? Dustin sneered. Is this what you call a friend? How the hell can I believe you? Dustin couldn't understand why Dahlia was still hesitating. It felt like he mattered less to her than her other friends, and he thought their relationship was getting better. Maybe he was just fooling himself. Forget it, Ms. Nicholson. You don't need to think so hard about it. We're nothing to each other now. Enjoy your meal. I'm leaving. Dustin shook his head and turned away. Wait for me. Adam called out as he grabbed 2 bottles and hurried after Dustin. He had no experience in love, so he couldn't really help his friend. Once outside the restaurant, Dustin stood still against the cold wind, frustrated and confused about his feelings. He might have said it was fine, but his heart still hurt when he saw Dahlia with another man. Forget about her, buddy. There are plenty of women out there, Adam said, patting Dustin on the shoulder. With your charm, you could have anyone you want. Why not think about my sister? Absolutely not, a feminine voice called out from behind them. The 2 men turned to see a beautiful woman walking towards them. It was none other than Dahlia. Why did you come out? Dustin asked, surprised. He didn't expect her to chase after him, he thought she would just ignore him. You're being so petty. Dahlia exclaimed. How can you run out when we've barely talked? What were you doing here? I thought you were having dinner with your friend. Dustin tried to sound calm, but he felt relieved. I'm just here to enjoy the breeze, okay? Dahlia rolled her eyes, secretly happy to see Dustin a little jealous. Ugh, the smell of love, Adam said, shaking his head. Shut the hell up. Dahlia and Dustin shouted together. Are you sure it's safe to leave that guy alone? Dustin asked. What else can I do? I'll get him a gift to apologize, Dahlia shrugged, looking like she had finally made up her mind. You haven't eaten yet, have you? Why not join us? Dustin suggested. Dahlia huffed. At least you're thoughtful. She patted her belly, realizing she was hungry. Let's go. I'll take you somewhere nice, Dustin said as he walked to the car and opened the door. Just as Dahlia was about to get in, she suddenly saw a truck speeding toward them, loaded with dirt. Watch out! she yelled, pushing Dustin away frantically. Chapter 289. Watch out! Dahlia shouted as the truck sped toward them. Without thinking about her own safety, she pushed Dustin away and shut her eyes tightly, fearing the worst. In that moment, she thought maybe dying like this wouldn't be so bad. At least he would remember her forever. Suddenly, a strong figure rushed in front of her. With a loud bang, a fist hit the truck, causing metal to crumple. The force flipped the truck over, and it crashed down behind Dahlia, sending debris flying everywhere. "Are you okay, Dahlia?" Dustin asked, pulling his hand back and checking her for injuries. He sighed in relief when he saw she was unharmed. "What the hell just happened?" Dahlia asked, her eyes wide as she looked at the overturned truck in shock. She couldn't believe it was now behind her. If it was because of Dustin's strength, she might faint. "Are you fucking crazy? Why didn't you run when you saw danger? Why would you think of me first?" Dustin shouted angrily. Thank goodness he had quick reflexes, or she could have been seriously hurt. "I didn't know what to think in that moment," Dahlia replied, still pale from fear. "From now on, you need to put your goddamn safety first." Dustin warned her firmly. If something happened to her because of him, he would feel guilty forever. "Hey, can I get some fucking attention too?" Adam said, getting up with a grumpy expression. "What the fuck? Even when you save someone, you throw the truck toward me. Do you not give a shit about my life? What happened to bros before hoes?" Josh's boss said, looking at him with concern. "Take a break." "Yeah, I guess I could use some rest," Josh replied, rubbing his eyes. "Go home and get some sleep. We'll handle things here," his boss insisted. Josh nodded, grateful for the chance to leave. He grabbed his jacket and headed out, feeling the cool night air hit his face as he stepped outside. Meanwhile, at the villa, Dustin was still fuming. He couldn't believe the Hummers had put a bounty on his head. He felt anger boiling inside him, thinking about how they dared to come after him again after everything he had been through. "Adam, find out what else you can about the Hummers," he ordered, his tone sharp. "Sure thing. I'll dig deeper," Adam responded, already pulling out his phone. Dustin's mind raced with thoughts of revenge. He wouldn't let the bastards get away with this. Back at the Hummer villa, the atmosphere was tense. "What's our next move?" one of the men asked, looking around at the group. "We need to be ready." "Dustin won't take this shit lightly," another replied, glancing at the door nervously. Tina brought some medicine to Joshua's bedside. "I don't want to take them right now," Joshua said with a frown. "Jade hasn't come back since this morning, and I can't get her on the phone. Do you think something's wrong?" "Stop worrying, Josh. She's from the Grant family. What could possibly happen?" Tina replied, shaking her head. "Do you think she's upset about my injury and wants to break up with me?" Joshua asked, his voice filled with concern. Since his injury, he had lost his confidence and felt anxious. "Of course not," Tina said firmly. "I can see how much she cares about you. I bet she's out there doing everything she can for you. Didn't she promise to take care of things before she left this morning? So just relax." "I guess I'm just overthinking things," Joshua sighed. As the once great chosen one, he felt like a different person now. "Josh, try to rest and don't stress too much. Dad went to Millsburg to get medicine from Dr. Watkins. You'll be back on your feet in no time with the right treatment," Tina reassured him. "You're right. When I recover, I'll rise to the top again," Joshua said with determination. "I'll make that son of a bitch Rhys pay for what he did." Suddenly, the lights went out, leaving the room in darkness. "What's going on?" Joshua asked, feeling anxious. "Just stay calm, Josh. The power must have gone out," Tina said as she moved to the door. She called out, "Can someone check the breaker?" But there was only silence in the villa, making it feel eerie. "Hey! Is anyone there?" Tina shouted again, but no one answered. Joshua felt a growing sense of dread. Something's not right. We need to get the hell out of here. He jumped up, ready to run, when a tall figure stepped into the room. The room was silent. Who are you? Joshua shouted, his voice filled with fear. The person who's going to kill you, the figure replied. As the moonlight streamed through the window, Joshua finally saw the stranger's face. It's you. Why are you out? I thought you were arrested. Joshua's heart raced. Just that morning, he had received a message from Tina saying the military had captured Dustin. How could he be free so soon? Any last words? Dustin asked coldly. Tina, standing nearby, warned, You better not fuck around, Rhys. We have Boulder Thorn and the Grant's protection. If you... Before she could finish, Dustin flicked his wrist, and a silver needle shot out, hitting her forehead. Tina twitched, then tilted her head back and collapsed to the ground, lifeless. Chapter 290. What? Joshua stared in shock at his sister's lifeless body. He never imagined Dustin could be so cruel, killing without a second thought. Anything else you want to say? Dustin asked calmly. Please don't kill me. I'm sorry. Joshua fell to his knees, pleading. I was a fucking idiot to anger you. Please forgive me. I promise I won't go against you again. You had your chance, but you didn't take it. Dustin's expression was cold and unsympathetic. And no, I promise I will. Just let me go. I'll do anything. I swear. Joshua begged, banging his forehead against the floor. He knew he couldn't beat Dustin, especially not when he was at his strongest. To Dustin, killing Joshua would be as easy as squashing a bug. I'm pretty sure that's not what you said earlier, Dustin sneered. Didn't you say you would make me suffer like never before once you recovered? And no. I would never say that shit. Joshua shook his head, panic rising in his voice. Where's Edwin? Dustin asked, his patience wearing thin. He had searched the whole villa, but Edwin Hummer was nowhere to be found. I don't know. I heard my dad went to Millsburg for medicine, but I don't know anything else. Joshua cried. Millsburg, huh? Lucky bastard, Dustin muttered, feeling frustrated that Edwin had escaped. Are you looking for my dad? Don't worry. I'll let you know as soon as he gets back. I'll be your loyal servant from now on, Joshua said, forcing a weak smile. Dustin scoffed. You would betray your own father. You're worse than a fucking animal. He slowly raised his hand, revealing a silver needle. No. You can't kill me. My mentor is the master of Boulder Thorn, and my fiancée is the third daughter of the Grants. If you kill me, you'll become their enemy, he shouted, his voice filled with rage. People will keep hunting you down, and you'll have to live in fear for the rest of your fucking life. Dustin, however, remained calm. You should have thought about that when you kidnapped Natasha. I don't give a damn about the Grants or Boulder Thorn. You're going to die today. With a quick flick of his finger, he shot a silver needle that struck Joshua right between the eyes. No! Joshua cried out, his voice echoing in despair as life slipped away from him. The next morning in Millsburg, Edwin woke up suddenly from a nightmare, drenched in sweat. He felt uneasy, as if something bad was about to happen. Just as he prepared to escape, a tall figure entered his room silently. Who the hell are you? He yelled in shock. I'm the one who's going to kill you, the figure replied coolly. As the moonlight illuminated the room, Edwin recognized the person. It's you. Weren't you arrested? How the fuck did you get out? Edwin stammered, backing away in fear. Just that morning, he had received a message from Tina saying the military had captured Dustin. How could he be free so quickly? Any last words? Dustin asked coldly. The next morning, in a mansion in Millsburg, Edwin's sleep had been troubled, a sense of dread hanging over him. Sir Hummer. One of his bodyguards rushed into the room, filled with excitement. We finally got Dr. Watkins' substratumese. With this, Mr. Joshua will finally recover. Great. Show me. Edwin's face brightened, his worries fading away. The guard opened a jade box to reveal a shining, milky white pill that gave off a sweet, calming scent. Chapter 291. Great job. Great fucking job, indeed. Edwin laughed heartily. This substratumese may cost a lot, but it's worth every penny. As he continued to chuckle, another bodyguard rushed into the room, looking worried. Sir, we have bad news from home. The guard dropped to his knees, crying. What is it? Edwin asked, frowning. We just got word from Swinton that Hummer Villa was attacked last night. All our fighters are dead, and Miss Tina and Mr. Joshua were both killed. The Hummer family is gone. Edwin felt as if he had been struck by lightning. The substratumese slipped from his grasp and shattered on the floor. My son, he cried out in despair, collapsing to the ground. He stayed there for what felt like an eternity. When he finally managed to stand, he looked worn and aged, as if 10 years had passed in an instant. Get ready. I want to go to Boulderthorn's branch right now. Edwin said fiercely. With his children gone, he had nothing left to lose. His only focus was on avenging them, no matter the cost. An hour later, in the meeting room at Boulderthorn's branch. What? Joshua was killed? A man in a green shirt jumped up, furious. Who the hell dares to touch someone from Boulderthorn? It was Natasha Harmon and a man named Dustin Rhys. Edwin growled. The man in green scowled. How dare they challenge us? They must want to die. Gather our men. We must avenge Joshua. Yes, sir, the others replied. The Boulderthorn disciples quickly left to follow orders. Soon, the entire branch was on the move. Boulderthorn had hundreds of thousands of disciples throughout the region, ready to take action. Balerno was known for producing the most skilled martial artists, and this branch stood out because its mentor was the guildmaster of Boulderthorn. Boulderthorn had 4 branch leaders, 8 guildmasters, and 36 second-in-commands. Among them, the guildmasters held the most power. With a single command, they could direct thousands of disciples. However, the guildmasters often clashed with one another, which made them fiercely protective of their own disciples. So, when someone was in trouble, everyone rushed to help. Joshua was the most talented disciple in Boulderthorn and had earned the head guildmaster's affection. His sudden death sent shockwaves through the guild. If Boulderthorn didn't take action to avenge him, their reputation, especially that of this branch, would suffer. Edwin felt a sense of relief as he watched the other guild disciples working hard. Without saying anything further, he got back into his car and drove toward the Grants' home. No matter who was responsible for Jade's disappearance, Edwin was determined to blame Dustin. He knew that the Grants wouldn't let Dustin off the hook easily. With Boulderthorn and the Grants joining forces, even the Harmon family, one of the richest families around, wouldn't stand a chance. When the moment came, the Harmon family would likely make Natasha take the fall. As for Dustin, he was an easy target for the Boulderthorn disciples. My dear son, I will avenge you soon, Edwin vowed solemnly. Chapter 292. In Park Place, Swiston, Jessica was relaxing when she received shocking news. What? Joshua Hummer is dead, and his whole family was killed? They even burned Hummer Villa to the ground? She stopped what she was doing, her mood changing instantly. The Hummer family was one of the most powerful families in Swinton. They weren't as strong as the Harmon family, but they still had significant influence, especially with help from Boulderthorn. Who could have the power to take down such a family? Do you know who did this? Jessica pressed her guard for answers. The fire destroyed nearly everything. It will be hard to find out who started it, the guard replied, shaking his head. If we can't find the culprit, we'll be in serious trouble. Jessica frowned as she thought. Normally, she would feel happy about the Hummer family's downfall. But everyone knew about the bad blood between the Hummer family and her daughter, Natasha, which made Natasha a prime suspect. Her biggest fear was that Boulderthorn would start investigating, complicating everything even more. Just then, Natasha walked into the room in her silk pajamas. What's wrong? Joshua Hummer is dead, and the whole Hummer family is gone. Edwin Hummer is still missing. Jessica quickly explained. I already knew that. I'm not surprised, Natasha said, stretching lazily. Wait, how did you find out? Jessica asked, surprised. Dustin called me last night, Natasha answered calmly. Last night? Jessica paused, realizing something. Are you saying he did it? Yep, Natasha nodded. Is he out of his fucking mind? How could he kill Joshua Hummer? Doesn't he know that Joshua's mentor is Clement Lincoln? Isn't he worried that Boulder Thorn might retaliate? Jessica snapped. The Hummer family and I are already enemies, so I don't think Dustin did anything wrong, Natasha replied. The truth was, she had been ready to stand up against them after hearing that the military had arrested Dustin. Luckily, he returned safely. He did nothing wrong. Jessica frowned. Natasha, do you even realize what you're saying? Even your father is careful around Lincoln. If Lincoln wants revenge, Dustin won't be the only one in danger. You could be hurt too. Boulder Thorn was one of the strongest guilds in Balerno. The Harmon family wouldn't be able to face them, especially not the guildmaster, who had power over more than 10,000 men. To put it simply, without military support, no one could stop those fighters. Boulder Thorn may be strong, but they aren't above the law. They can't just do whatever the hell they want. Plus, did you really think the Hummer family would let us go if Dustin hadn't killed Joshua? Since we are already enemies, the best move is to strike first. Natasha explained calmly, having thought this through. I don't give a damn. Dustin is in serious trouble this time. If you don't want our family to get involved, you need to cut all ties with him right now. Jessica warned. That's your plan? To cut ties with him? Natasha scoffed. Don't forget, Dustin stood up to the Hummer family for me. Are you really asking me to turn my back on him? Why not? Jessica shot back. Everyone has their value. Once they're no longer useful, they should be discarded. You need to think about the bigger picture. How could you say that? You haven't changed at all, have you? You're still so goddamn disgusting. Natasha said with a sneer before turning to walk away. You! Jessica shouted, her anger boiling. Chapter 293. Are you coming with me? Dakota asked, her voice firm. Dustin shrugged, not surprised at her attitude. She wouldn't be sick if you hadn't slapped her, she added, sounding arrogant. Dustin chuckled and shook his head. Wow, so a slap makes someone terminally ill? Your mother really is a piece of work. Stop joking around. I'm giving you a chance to make things right. Come with me to the hospital and help save my mother. Dakota ordered. Sorry, but I don't give a shit, Dustin said flatly. What? Dakota frowned. How can you refuse? Do you even know what the hell will happen if you do? Nope, Dustin replied, shaking his head. Dakota huffed, clearly frustrated. If you refuse, you'll offend the Glenstead Nicholsons. If I can get you out of jail, I can definitely put you back in. Sounds like I owe you my freedom, then? Dustin said, amused. Do you really think I would have saved you if Dahlia hadn't begged me to? Dakota shot back. You should be thankful. Since I helped you, it's time for you to return the favor. I need you to help save my mother. I have no fucking idea where you get the confidence to say all that, Dustin snorted. If you're going to keep that attitude, I can't help you. Please leave. Dakota came to ask for a favor, but she acted like she was in charge. Who the hell did she think she was, expecting him to be grateful for her demands? Chapter 294. You shameless bastard! Dakota shouted, her anger boiling over. She was the proud daughter of a wealthy family, and usually, people would do anything to please her. But here was Dustin, refusing to give her the time of day. Who's the shameless one? Dustin raised an eyebrow. Have you eaten so much junk food that you fried your goddamn brain? This is Balerno, not Glenstead, so don't give me that bullshit attitude. Dakota clenched her teeth in frustration. She was furious but couldn't lash out because she desperately needed his help to save her mother. If it weren't for her mother's life being at stake, she would have already struck the son of a bitch. "What do you want, Rhys?" Dakota took a deep breath to calm herself. "I won't make it hard for you, for Dahlia's sake," Dustin replied. "I can save her, but first, I want you to stop acting so high and mighty and give me a real apology. Then, I want you to write a letter of apology." "Never!" Dakota exclaimed. "How could I, the daughter of the Glenstead Nicholsons, apologize to someone like you? Absolutely fucking not." "Then forget it." "I'm not the one suffering," Dustin said lazily. "But don't say I didn't warn you. Your mother will die tomorrow if she doesn't get treatment in time." Dakota's heart sank. She hated hearing that, but she knew it was true. If her mother didn't get help soon, she would be gone by morning. "Please leave if you can't accept my terms," Dustin said, waving her away. I'll do it." Dakota finally relented. Biting her lip, she stammered, I'm sorry. I was wrong." "Are you talking to the air? Speak the fuck up," Dustin urged. "I'm sorry. I was wrong," Dakota shouted, her face turning red. It was her first time apologizing, and it felt really goddamn embarrassing. "Fine. I'll forgive you because of Dahlia, but remember to stop being so goddamn arrogant." "Not everyone is as nice as me," Dustin said. Dakota felt her mood drop, and her hands hurt from how tightly she clenched her fists. She forced a smile and asked, "You'll save my mom now, right?" "What about the apology letter?" Dustin asked. "I'll write it." Dakota gritted her teeth and quickly found some pen and paper. Before long, she finished a long letter. Just as expected from a lady of an aristocratic family. "Your writing is perfect," Dustin said with a nod, pleased. He put the letter away and took out a bottle of pills. "Here. 1 pill a day, and she'll be as good as new in a month." "Just this? Are you fucking serious?" Dakota took the bottle and looked at it suspiciously. "Are you kidding me, Rhys? My mom can be saved with just a few pills. What did you expect? Should I have performed surgery instead?" Dustin replied. "All right. I'll trust you this time. But your goddamn medicine better work, or I'm coming for your ass." Dakota shot him a fierce glare and turned to leave. Chapter 295. "Hold on. What now?" Dakota paused and turned around, feeling impatient. "You haven't paid yet. This medicine is valuable." "Just give me 10 million, Dustin said casually. "What the fuck? A bottle like this costs $10 million? You might as well rob a bank." Dakota shouted, furious. "This is clearly easier than robbing a bank." "If it's too expensive, you can always return it," Dustin replied, reaching for the bottle. "You're unbelievable." Dakota clenched her teeth and wrote a $10 million check before storming out. She promised herself that she would make that bastard Dustin pay after her mother got better. Half an hour later, she arrived at the hospital. When she entered the ward, she saw a group of doctors standing together, shaking their heads and sighing. Her mother, Jane, was lying in bed, unable to move. "You're back, Dakota." Florence rushed over and asked, "How did it go? Did he have a solution? If not, we'll have to find Dr. Cross. He gave me a bottle of pills and said Mom would be fine after taking them for a month," Dakota said, pulling out the bottle. She poured out a small, black pill that looked ordinary and smelled musty. "This can heal her?" Florence stared in disbelief. Instead of the miracle cure she expected, all she saw was a tiny, unappealing pill. "That's what he said," Dakota replied, nodding. "Ms. Nicholson," a bald doctor suddenly spoke up. "Your mother's life is at risk. The best option right now is to perform a craniotomy, not listen to some quack. You can't even figure out what's wrong with her, and you want to perform surgery? How is that not murder?" Dakota snapped back. The doctors had previously informed her that her mother could be paralyzed due to a tumor in her brain. However, the CT scan results were clear, so why was she so quick to trust their assumptions? All surgeries come with risks, but at least our team is more reliable than that bullshit doctor you found, the bald doctor assured her. I have to try no matter what. Dakota replied firmly. What a fool, the bald doctor muttered, shaking his head as he looked at Dakota. Why the hell would we need doctors if medicine could cure everything? Exactly. I'd do anything if it works, another doctor chimed in. Ignoring their comments, Dakota took the pill and placed it in her mother's mouth. It melted quickly, and soon Jane felt a rush of energy throughout her body. A few moments later, Jane started coughing, her face turning red. What the hell is this? It tastes like shit, she exclaimed, sitting up to gargle with a cup of water nearby. Mom, you can move again. Dakota paused, then her face lit up with joy. Ha! Jane stopped, swallowing the water she had just gargled, before jumping up excitedly. Oh my god! I can move again. Who said they'd do something ridiculous? Step forward right the fuck now. Dakota glared at the doctors, leaving them speechless. Chapter 296. The doctors exchanged surprised looks when they saw how energetic Jane was. They couldn't believe that such a tiny pill had done what a whole team of medical experts couldn't. It was fucking amazing. Is that black pill some kind of miracle cure? One doctor wondered. After recovering from his shock, the bald doctor asked hesitantly, Ms. Nicholson, can you tell us what that pill is? Can we study it? Yeah, right. Get the hell out. Dakota immediately kicked him, causing him to groan in pain. Realizing he had no chance, he quickly led the other doctors out of the room, disappointed. Who knew a little pill could be so goddamn powerful? Florence marveled. Despite its appearance and smell, its effects were clear. It may have cost $10 million, but it was worth it. Dakota said excitedly. What? 10 million? The other two women jumped up in shock. Are you fucking serious, Dakota? A bottle like this costs $10 million? Florence asked, her eyes wide. Yeah. Were you tricked? How the hell could something that looks so ordinary cost so much? Jane demanded, frustrated. The richer someone was, the more they seemed to hoard their goddamn money. Forget it. As long as it can save you, the price doesn't matter, Dakota said, trying to stay positive. What do you mean forget it? Jane replied angrily. I still need to pay that little shit back for slapping me. How dare he con us out of $10 million? I have to get that money back. She tried to get out of bed, but her weak body couldn't support her, and she collapsed back onto the bed. Mom, let's focus on your health right now. The money can wait, Dakota said with concern. Don't worry, Jane. I'll make sure we get that goddamn money back for you, Florence promised. Florence jumped at the chance to help. Okay then, I'll leave this to you, Jane said eagerly. She was thrilled that someone was willing to run errands for her. Just then, Dahlia rushed into the room, looking worried. Mom, bad news, she said, her voice shaky. What's wrong? Florence asked, surprised to see her daughter so anxious. It's about James, Dahlia said, catching her breath. I just found out that he got drunk last night and accidentally hit someone with his car, and now that person is dead. He's been arrested. He fucking killed someone. Florence was shocked. How the hell could this happen? He never drives after drinking. I don't know the details, Dahlia replied, her urgency growing. But we need to go now. Right. Let's go. Florence said, hurrying after Dahlia. Dahlia drove them to the investigation bureau. After a quick check-in, they entered the meeting room and saw James looking rough. Mom! Sis! You're finally here. James cried, tears streaming down his face when he saw them. You goddamn idiot! How could you drink and drive? Dahlia shouted, stepping forward and slapping him across the face. Chapter 297. Enough. Stop fighting. Let's hear what happened first, Florence said, her voice filled with concern. I don't know what happened either, James cried. I blacked out after drinking with my friends. When I woke up, I was in the goddamn car, and there was wreckage everywhere. I was so scared that I ran away, but I got caught the same night. You did a hit and run? Do you have any fucking idea how serious that is? You could be facing years in jail. Dahlia shouted. What? James went pale. I'm still young. I don't want to go to jail. Please help me. You have to face the consequences of your actions. How the hell can you think you'll be safe after killing someone? Dahlia sighed. Although she loved her brother, she felt helpless about his situation. Please, sis, Mom. Help me. I promise I'll never do this shit again. I've learned my lesson. James pleaded, panic in his eyes at the thought of spending his life in prison. Calm down, James. I'll call your aunt right now. With the Glenstead Nicholson's help and some money, we should be able to get you out, Florence said quickly as she pulled out her phone. She dialed Jane. Hello? Jane. James is in trouble. He ran his car into someone and killed them. Can you make some calls to help him? It's not that I don't want to help, Florence, but Dahlia ran away from her date last night, and our family is very upset about it. They've decided that unless Dahlia marries Mr. Langford, they won't help us, Jane replied calmly. What the hell? Florence stiffened, looking at Dahlia with surprise. I will never marry that asshole. Dahlia immediately refused. Then forget it. You'll have to handle James on your own, Jane said before hanging up. Just agree, Dahlia. What's so goddamn wrong with marrying Mr. Langford? He's rich and powerful, Florence urged. Dahlia came from a loving family, but they were in trouble. Her mother, Florence, pleaded with her, if you marry Mr. Langford, we can save your brother and live comfortably. But Mom, I don't fucking like him. Dahlia frowned. You'll learn to love him. Do you want to see your brother go to prison? Florence cried. James, her brother, chimed in, please, sis. Marry Mr. Langford, or I'm goddamn doomed. He was clearly upset. Did you two ever think about my future? Dahlia asked, feeling anxious. You'll have a great life if you marry him. Our family will grow stronger too. Plus, I'm your brother. Don't you want to see me free and not in jail? James shouted, his eyes red with worry. Just let me think about it. There has to be another way, Dahlia said, closing her eyes in despair. There's no goddamn time to waste. James exclaimed, sounding frantic. Please help him. I'm begging you. Florence cried, dropping to her knees. Mom, what the hell are you doing? Get up. Dahlia rushed to help her mother. I won't get up until you agree. Florence insisted. Seeing her mother's determination and her brother's fear, Dahlia felt frozen. She never imagined her life would come to this. She had been hoping for happiness, but now it felt out of reach. Didn't she deserve to be happy? Finally, she sighed and said, fine. I'll do it. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she realized she had given in. Chapter 298. Fine. I'll do it. Luis smiled when he heard the voice on the phone. Great. See you tonight. You better not stand me up again. He hung up, and the young men and women around him gave him a thumbs up, excited about his news. I never thought a little trick could make that girl obey you, Mr. Langford. You're a goddamn genius, a blonde guy said. Luis laughed slyly. She wouldn't have agreed if I hadn't involved her worthless brother. Besides, I can't let someone like her slip away. He had always managed to win over the women he wanted. All it took was some time and clever tactics. Dahlia seemed innocent, but he knew that by using her friends and family, he could get her to agree to anything. I'm curious, Mr. Langford. Why do you want to marry her? You could just have fun without tying the knot. This doesn't seem like your style, the blonde guy asked. Good question. Louise took a moment to light a cigar. Honestly, I want the support of the Glenstead Nicholsons. Our families have a marriage agreement, and Dahlia will soon do what her family wants. Through her, I will gain complete control of the goddamn Nicholsons. His words stirred excitement in the crowd, and they started praising him. Just as expected from Mr. Langford, he always thinks ahead. So fucking impressive. He's both smart and strong. Incredible. Once I take over the Nicholsons, I will be the head of the Langfords. Louise declared confidently. The competition among him and his brothers was tough, as everyone wanted to lead the family. To beat them, he needed enough power and influence. Then let us wish you a happy marriage in advance. The blonde man raised his glass, leading the others in a toast to Louise. Laughter filled the room. It was 8 p.m. at Hillview Restaurant. Dustin had arrived early, eager to impress Dahlia. He chose the finest room for their dinner, though it didn't matter much to him since he owned the goddamn place. Sir, our chef has prepared these special dishes for you. Please let us know your thoughts, the manager said, holding out a menu. No need for all this. Just arrange it as you think best, but make sure to include the chef's signature dish, Dustin replied. Of course, sir, the manager said, nodding. He signaled to the staff outside the room. A team of waiters quickly entered, transforming the space with flowers, wine, candles, and more, creating a warm and romantic atmosphere. They had even brought in a guitarist and 3 dancers to perform. Soon, everything was set. Sir, I took the liberty of arranging some performers. I hope you don't mind, the manager said with a smile. This looks impressive. You must have worked hard on this, Dustin said, pleasantly surprised. I can always tell them to leave if you'd prefer, the manager offered, lowering his head. No, it's fine. It's very nice. Thank you, Dustin replied with a smile, thinking about how much Dahlia would enjoy this. It's my pleasure to serve you, sir. When is Ms. Nicholson arriving? I want to make sure everything is ready, the manager asked carefully. She should be here soon, Dustin said, glancing at the time. It was already past 8. Dahlia was always punctual. Had something happened? Worried, Dustin pulled out his phone to call her. Chapter 299. Dahlia didn't answer the phone the first 2 times Dustin called. It wasn't until his 3rd try that she finally picked up. Hey, Dahlia. Didn't you say you wanted me to take you out for dinner? Where are you? Dustin asked. I'm really sorry, but something came up. I might not be able to leave for a while, Dahlia replied. Her voice sounded off. That's okay. Work is important. Take your time, I won't bother you, Dustin said, trying to sound understanding but feeling a bit disappointed. Dahlia sighed. I promise I'll treat you another day. Sure, Dustin said with a smile. Just as he was about to hang up, he heard someone else in the background. Dahlia, who the hell are you calling? Hurry the fuck up. We need to drink together. With that, the call ended abruptly. Sir, when is Ms. Nicholson arriving? The manager asked. She can't make it. Something came up, so you can put everything away. I'm sorry, everyone, Dustin said politely as he stood up to leave. Everyone looked at each other, confused. Why the hell had the dinner they planned so carefully fallen apart? Meanwhile, in a hotel room at the Barcarolle Hotel, Dahlia was struggling. Mr. Langford, I can't drink anymore. Let's stop for tonight, she said, waving her hands as another glass of wine was handed to her. Her face was red, and she felt dizzy and weak. It was tough getting your goddamn brother out of that situation. You can't be ungrateful, Louis said, raising his glass with a frown. Just drink it, Dahlia. It's only 1 glass, urged Florence, who was sitting next to them. They were there to help save James, and pleasing Louise was important. But, Dahlia hesitated, worried. She knew her limits and was sure she would collapse if she kept drinking. I won't make you drink anymore, Dahlia. This is the last glass, Luis said as he pushed the glass towards her again. Come on, Dahlia. It's just one last drink. You don't want to embarrass him, Florence added gently. Fine, I'll drink it. Dahlia took a deep breath, lifted the glass to her lips, and downed it in one go. As soon as she finished, she started to feel dizzy. Her body swayed, and she nearly stumbled. Florence quickly grabbed her to steady her. Mr. Langford, I think Dahlia is drunk. Maybe I should take her home. It's okay. I've already booked a presidential suite for both of you. She can just rest here, Luis replied with a smile. Isn't that too much trouble? Florence asked hesitantly. Not at all. We'll be family soon. You both should relax, Luis said, handing Florence a room card. Thank you, Mr. Langford, Florence said, nodding as she helped Dahlia out of the room. Luis watched them leave with a smirk. Let's see how you plan to escape tonight, he chuckled, taking a big sip from his glass before following the two women. Chapter 300. Inside the presidential suite, Florence helped Dahlia onto the bed and took off her shoes. Then, she went to get a basin of warm water to clean Dahlia. Mom, I feel awful. I need some water, Dahlia said weakly, feeling very thirsty. Water won't help. I'll get you some milk. Just wait here, Florence said, trying to sound calm as she quickly left the room. She bumped into Luis right away. How's Dahlia doing, Mrs. Nicholson? Luis asked. She's fine. A good night's sleep will fix her right up, Florence replied with a smile. Where are you going, Mrs. Nicholson? Luis asked again. I'm getting her some milk for her stomach ache, Florence explained. I see, Luis said, a knowing smile on his face. But there's no place nearby that sells milk, so you might have to look further. You could be gone for a while. Are you sure? I thought I saw a grocery store downstairs, Florence said, feeling a little unsure. Are you questioning me? Luis's smile vanished, replaced by a cold, threatening look. And no, of course not. I'll come back later, Florence said quickly, trying to keep her composure. Good, Luis said, his smile returning as he watched Florence leave. Once she was gone, he opened the door and stepped inside. How did you get the milk so fast, Mom? Dahlia asked weakly from the bed. Your mother isn't coming back anytime soon, so I'll be taking care of you, Luis replied. Mr. Langford? What the hell are you doing here? Dahlia's expression changed to worry. Where's my mom? She went to get you some milk, of course, Luis said, beginning to take off his clothes. What the fuck are you doing, Mr. Langford? Dahlia asked, panic rising in her voice. What do you think happens when a man and a woman are left alone in a room? He sneered, removing his tie and looking at her with intent. Don't you fucking mess with me, Mr. Langford. I'm not that kind of person. Dahlia yelled. Luis smirked. We'll be engaged in a few days and married soon, so what's the goddamn difference? I promise you luxury if you please me tonight. No. You're not touching me until we're married. Dahlia stood her ground firmly. That'll take too long. You're going to satisfy me right the fuck now. Luis lunged forward, tearing at her clothes like a wild animal. Go away, you piece of shit. Dahlia fought back with all her strength. She kicked Luis hard in the groin, and he doubled over, groaning in pain. Are you all right, Mr. Langford? She asked, alarmed. She didn't want to hurt him seriously. You bitch! Luis shouted, furious. He slapped Dahlia across the face, causing her to stagger and fall to the floor. No woman has ever rejected me or kicked me. How fucking dare you? I'm sorry, Mr. Langford. I didn't mean to do that, Dahlia said, shaking her head in disbelief. Shut the fuck up. If you don't want something to happen to your worthless brother, you better kneel and beg for forgiveness, he threatened. You're crossing the goddamn line, Mr. Langford. Dahlia snapped back, standing up defiantly.